What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Think Dimension, the only gaming podcast for the modern giga-brained gamer. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with me, as always, are our online co-hosts, KZ Excellent from kzexcellent.com. How are you doing?
I own shoes.
And Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I don't know what shoes are.
And Bob from GigaBoots.com.
What are shoes?
Bob refutes your world idea that includes shoes. Get rid of it.
The Kylo Ren of shoes.
You need to get rid of shoes. Burn them if you need to.
Ray, let me see your feet.
No! Okay. We're moving on past that. We have a lot to talk about. We've got a lot of news and bullshit. But we're going to push that off for a bit to talk about what games we've been playing since last week. Bob?
I'll go last because mine ties into news.
Oh, yes.
Cool.
That's a splendid idea. Bob, what have you been playing since last week?
I've been playing... Oh, of course, I played DMC. I'm about halfway through my Dante Must Die run. But I also wanted to play something else because we can...
This box of nails is halfway empty, but they still all have to go through my hand.
It's not that bad, honestly. The only parts that I have a lot of trouble with were some V boss fights, but it wasn't that bad.
Every time a Fury shows up, I just want to turn the game off.
With Dante, it's super easy to deal with. You just jab repeatedly.
Yeah, with him, it's easy, but with Nero, I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, I figured out something for Nero, and I just taking him down. Nilo Angelo is the only thing where I'm just like, come on, man, Proto Angelos.
Proto Angelos have so much health.
So much health, it's ridiculous.
I dumped like Overture Mine, Punchline Charge, Devil Trigger Buster, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, die!
Yeah,
I think the Proto Angelos might be related to the Nilo Angelo. I can't be too sure though.
Wow, KZ,
Yeah,
I never picked up on that. That's a really deep cut. Thank you for your stunning witticism and assessment.
I just don't know.
I'm building some hidden connections.
Bob, what else have you been playing?
I also...
V is also really hard to play. It's very hard to get to the level.
We've owned Jason enough.
Can we just... I feel like... Okay, so last week, I think this wasn't recorded, but we talked about how KZ should have a podcast called Don't Worry About It, and I realized it was a life self-help podcast where you'd call in with your problems, and KZ would tell you no matter what the problem was, don't worry about it. Now I realize it's just a podcast of KZ indirectly shit-talking everyone on Twitter.
It's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry about it.
What was that?
So Bob, you played a game.
Yes, I've been playing games. Sekiro comes out today.
Yeah, Sekiro just came out.
Yeah, it just came out.
I ordered it physically, so I'll get it at some point tomorrow. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I got mine downloaded and ready to go for after the podcast. But to get ready, I played a bunch of old Tenchu games. I'm actually a huge fan of Tenchu. So I went back to 1, 2, and 3 in the reverse order. So I started with 3. I was like, yeah, this is still neat. There's still a ton of jank in this game.
Mm-hmm.
That game is really a lot rougher than I remember it.
Yes, that game is I remember we revisited it for an episode of the Weekly Beating where we did verses in it, and it was unreal how bad it felt.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. The movement feels almost non-existent.
Like your walk speed is clearly wrong compared to your animation.
Your walking animation speed is about 3 times as fast as your movement. So it seems like you're wearing slippers and you're slipping on a fucking wood floor.
So, Sekiro doesn't have a whole lot to beat, but it's I still really enjoy it. I played that probably for 2 hours. Like really got into it again.
Yeah.
Because I actually Grandmaster ranked every mission back in the day.
Yes, you did.
Man, there is some weird Dark Souls-like jank to that game that I feel, or I was like, okay, I can see FromSoft making this.
Yeah, because FromSoft made the... who made the third one?
That was K2.
Okay, K2.
Which apparently got absorbed into Capcom. That's why we stopped seeing stuff from them.
Yeah. But FromSoft is making Sekiro, which is some weird successor almost to Tenchu in a strange way.
Right. And there are some producers that ended up working on Fatal Shadows Tenchu and Tenchu Z.
Which one is Fatal Shadow?
Fatal Shadow is the sequel for PS2 that stars Ayame in Her New Apprentice.
Oh, okay. If I remember correctly, we sort of segregated that into a Nightshade tier of game.
Yeah,
because it was a spin-off of the main series, but it was like
I want to play it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I literally like am knocking down dudes or knocking down the boss to run to a corner and drink my health potion. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty Dark Souls.
and then you can bring in what's called Ninja Rebirth item. And that means if you die, you come back right where you died. And it could put out a dust cloud and it kind of distracts the enemies. I'm like, this is the exact same thing that's in Sekiro.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, 2 is still pretty good, but PS1 jank.
Right, and a level creator, which is why we love Tenchu 2.
Yeah, I actually found my memory card that has all those levels.
Oh no, they're gonna want us to play that for a video now. They're gonna be like, haha, make Dan play it for a video. And I'm like, as funny as that is, what if you made Bob play it for a video?
Like,
Oh no.
the worst part is a lot of those are levels my brother made that are just awful. Just
Yes.
absolutely, I hate you. That's
Yes.
the whole point of him making levels.
Yes.
I
I mean, that
oh my
spiral
God.
with the spear trap.
Yeah, that's still there, of course.
Yeah, that's not great.
how that reflects what's happened to Mega Maker is kind of frustrating. This is like my brother was ahead of his time.
Yeah, your brother was really avant-garde.
But then I got
Okay, Bob, I hex edited the Tenchu level, and if you don't finish it fast enough, your PS1 will crash.
If he could have figured that out, he would have.
he would have. Yeah.
If he could boot a disc of a hacked version of Tenchu, he would have done it.
Heck, I think
this dude found a way where it was like, in Tenchu, there's water and you can swim through it. So what we would have is you could swim under these rocks through an underwater cavern, and then there's a type of slope he could put where you could come out of the water back onto land, but you could never go back in. So he made this horrific, gigantic, subterranean, unidirectional maze of fucking bullshit where it would close you off from ever going back the way you came. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, it'd lock you in a room that had a spear trap. And the whole idea is, kill yourself using this.
You have to kill yourself. You fucked up.
You weren't psychic and couldn't see the future.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. As you can see, me and Bob have secretly been doing the We Play Your Mega Maker level series this entire time. We're going on 2 decades, baby.
Oh no.
I hope you're excited for 2 weeks from now when there's another Nintendo Direct. They're like, we're adding a spear trap to to Mario Maker 2.
Very excited. Very excited.
Then I got back to Tenchu 1. That game, I couldn't, even back in the day, I couldn't deal with it. Like, it just felt so jank and so bad. I just couldn't even play it. So I was like, maybe I'm just coming in with a bad head. I really enjoyed 2. I'm going back to 1. It'll be okay. No, 1 is still absolute trash. I don't know how that game is so bad, but it is.
It is really bad.
You can hardly see like more than 3 squares in front of yourself. Like you everything is just so narrow viewed that you can.
Yeah, the fog of war is intense.
Yeah.
Ninja times.
But that's what I've been playing. I'm super psyched for Sekiro with that Tenchu love. So
Yeah,
I guess someone else can go.
I'm pretty excited for Sekiro as well. I'll go ahead and cover my segment because it's not going to be very long. I didn't play jack shit. I also didn't have to deal with any tech nightmares. I've mostly been sleeping.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Oh right, you were almost dead, so you could.
Yeah, I had to do that sleep thing, as it turns out. So I did that. That is what I've played over the last week. Hey, Casey, what have you been playing?
Hello.
Hi.
I played the Bouncer this week.
Congratulations.
All right, let me position myself to accurately talk about the Bouncer for you. This game's fucking awful.
I don't know.
I cannot believe this entire time I'm like, I get it. I finally understand he was bitten the whole time. Because there's no way you can like this. It's impossible.
I don't know what you're talking about. You have several Let's Play parts up where you clearly are enjoying it. I hear you. You laugh at a thing that happens.
There's a lot of editing in that Let's Play.
You know, I figured that out somewhere around the part 4 or 5 with Volt, where you go, I actually attempted the escort segment 9 times.
Yeah, because naturally, when you're playing this game, you're like, I need to get all the experience I can get. Mm-hmm. But in that escort mission, It's random luck whether or not the AI decides to be stun locked the entire time or decides to punch you. And then it's like 5 fucking rooms. There's a lot going on in the bouncer. It gets progressively worse as you play it more because you realize that Sion is the only character that's fun to move with. And then you move on to these other characters. I don't even know what's going on with Ko. He's so bad. And there's no incentive for me to learn these moves, learn these techniques, because the game isn't good. I don't feel rewarded like doing some cool tech on a boss. It all sucks. You can run out of block. What game does that?
The bouncer.
If you would like an alternative take on the bouncer, I hear the channel GigaBoots actually has a video that just went up giving the bouncer a chance, where they take the bold stance that even games like the bouncer deserve to be given a chance to be respected as a game. Many of the people
you're just a shill being paid off by Dream Factory.
Yes, I'm being paid off by fucking Ghost.
Ghost show
Now,
money in us all the
KZ.
time.
You should inform Dan what happened to the bouncer when you completed playing it.
I got to the very end of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the final boss, which I was not aware that the final boss just gets an extra phase.
Yes.
And I spent 5 hours fighting this boss. Oh my god!
Now that's an RPG boss.
Fucking hours.
I can't even
5 hours of sometimes not even getting to the third phase, because it's 3 fights in a row, no healing, no fucking breaks.
Were you were you lethal levels of inebriated? I'm trying to understand.
I don't think I've ever felt. I couldn't even get to the third phase with Ko because I just didn't get enough experience in his route to actually be able to defeat this guy. Just It wasn't happening. It wasn't happening, and I was like, it's fine because whatever. It's fine. I want to be done. And I go through this shit with like, oh man, fucking Trinity Rush doesn't work on this boss because they wanted to make him look cool.
I mean,
oh, his hand's on fire. That
cool.
means you can't block through it. Oh, your block runs out. Oh, your party members fall on you and deal damage. Oh, all of his attacks are fucking 360. So even if I'm behind him, I'm eating shit. And to cap it all off, all the footage got desynced and broken, so I couldn't even use my winning attempt, and I had to rip it off YouTube. Which basically, and my epiphany there was, why'd I fucking do it anyway? If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't even fucking want it. And then I was done. I snapped the disc in half and put it in separate trash cans, and I almost cried.
A special thanks to Stan the Man, who contributed to make this Let's Play possible. Thank you, Stan, for your contribution to KZ's fund.
I'd hate him if he didn't control my future.
Thank you for contributing.
I promise, KZ, that if you play the game I'm going to start shilling at you, it'll be a much less painful experience.
Well, Castlevania's raw.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, God.
But, yeah, I don't know. Bob, we did that 2-hour video of giving games a chance for the bouncer.
Yeah.
You mean you're giving games a chance of the bouncer in which you didn't start on a fresh file, right?
I mean, it was a new game plus, but I don't see how that matters at all. Bob, do you see how that could?
What happened? I don't know what he's talking about.
Dan, after this entire fucking saga with the bouncer, how did you become the largest bouncer coward I've ever known?
Look,
maybe he's just playing it the right
bouncer
way.
Coward, you boward.
Maybe they're supposed to do it like that.
Things are easier when you edit your videos, but I am not so cowardly as to edit my gameplay of the bouncer. You see me die in that video, that's true. But we get through the whole
KZ
thing.
die in his multiple times.
True.
But you don't see the
I
9
think,
times
part
he
3
edited
opens
out.
with you seeing every death.
But I thought it was important to deliver a good product for the people so they could see the game. And I'm hearing a lot of demand for them to see Ko and Volt. And knowing that Ko is probably the weakest character, I will not be doing him last. I'll be doing him second.
Thanks for testing the waters, KZ.
Oh, I knew Ko was like fucking garbage.
But he's
Okay, you reminded me of something that made me upset because I learned it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how in like level 5 or some shit, you're on a train.
Yes.
And there's the part where you have to detach the train car that has the rocket fuel on it.
Yeah, you
or
have
else
to
the
find
next level sucks.
Yeah, you have to find the card key in order to detach it.
This is one of the most brain dead fucking levels because you said you didn't know how to get the card, and I was like, oh, it's clearly the left one. No, that's not what they did.
Mm-hmm.
There's a box in front of you, to the left and the right. The card key is in the last one you open.
Yes.
If you don't
open them fast enough, you actually won't find it. A timer will run up and it'll go, oh damn. And since the game doesn't responsively react to you pushing a button in front of the boxes sometimes, it's been a while since I found it. I'm gonna be honest. It's been since let me check the calendar. 2003. Yeah, it's been about 16 years since I found the card key because, you know, I hit the first 2 boxes and then I'm pushing a button while standing what I think is in front of this third box. And then they just look up at the light and go, oh, damn.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, you play a video game where it feels like you're moving through cement and then you don't get the card key and then the next level's a bit more annoying because you have those blast doors that are closing.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for dying to that. I haven't seen that cutscene.
Oh, you know what I just looked up right now and is hilarious?
What?
Shirtless Doragon scales with your stats, so he's always going to be that difficult.
Yeah.
That's all I'm playing. I'm cutting this segment off. Cutting this umbilical cord, throwing the baby in the trash.
The
baby
bouncer.
Theon Barzad is dead. Feel.
He'd survive.
What's up?
Okay.
There are several people who fell in love with the bouncer thanks to giving the bouncer a chance. I say that people
There are
should view
several
both
people
sides.
suffering from brain damage. They may even be listening to this podcast right now.
I think they should go on to GigaBoots on YouTube and check out Giving the Bouncer a Chance. Fio, what did you play?
Please consider going away, listeners, but make sure to pledge to patreon.com/gbpodcast.
So, like KZ, I played a PS2 game on Dan's recommendation.
Whoa. Hey.
Well,
Dan's like, oh shit, my track record's about to
afraid
look
of
like
where
shit.
this is going already, right?
Okay, 2 things. 1, yes, I recommend people play the bouncer. I do that. That's a thing I'm doing. Now, because of that, there are several high-quality videos of the bouncer in 2019 because there was no previously existing good quality footage of the bouncer. 2, I
wonder why.
I said, Curse of Darkness is definitely a lot more recommendable than Lament of Innocence. I might ever suggest someone should go play Curse of Darkness. With that said, I haven't even beaten that game 2 times.
After this. I'm going to play Lament of Innocence next week because I have to know if you're wrong, if you're just insane.
No, Lament, it may be shorter, but holy fuck, you can go through the entirety of Lament and not know that there are elemental whips. They're that far out of the way. You don't...
So I did not finish, so I played Castlevania Curse of Darkness. I'm getting ready for us to eventually talk about Castlevania Season 3.
Uh-huh.
Like KZ, I had to go to YouTube for the last end because I
finished my game. I saw it. The footage was just fucked.
I spent 35 minutes going down a long hallway full of enemies, and it was a hallway. It was just fight room, hallway. Sometimes the hallway has enemies, fight room. And I was like, I must be... And then there was a save point.
Okay.
So I saved my game.
Yeah.
And then I went to the next room, and there was a weapon crafting material and a dead end.
Okay.
What area of the game was that in?
Dracula's castle. I was at the end.
That doesn't seem very bad given what I went through with the bouncer. I mean, that escort mission took me probably like over an hour and a half.
I mean, the thing you described is like the escort mission in that you're just walking for so long and you wish it would end. That escort mission is the roughest part of that entire game.
I would be kinder to this game if it had come out in like 2003.
Quick question.
This game came out
is the material you got called adamantine?
No, it was like Miracle Egg or something like that.
Okay, because adamantine or whatever is found in what's called the Infinite Corridor.
Oh no, I'm past there. The Infinite Corridor is before Dracula's Castle.
What a fucking...
I have never played... I don't know how to describe Curse of Darkness. It's perplexing because I've never seen a game where a developer was like... Usually when you play a game that has a really basic combat system, they put in other things so your brain doesn't harden and die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of that in Curse of Darkness. Go straight, motherfucker, and fight everything.
Yeah.
Go straight, fight guys. Go straight, fight guys. Go straight, fight guys. And I'm like, is there ever anything else? No.
Okay, so I know you're trying to wrap your head around how Lament of Innocence can be worse. Are you ready? Because I'm about to tell you.
Go ahead.
Every fucking level is what you just described with that one area.
Every area was go straight and fight.
Imagine literally they reuse exact rooms 6 different times, and
that was every area in Curse of Darkness.
So turn that dial up to 11. Make it worse than you can even imagine.
Also, don't you get different kinds of weapons in Curse of Darkness?
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple weapons in Curse of Darkness.
There's 5 weapon types.
There's one in Lit.
There's maybe 6 or 7, because some types have different animations, I think. I just ended up using the swords, because I didn't want to use anything else.
So yeah, in Lament of Innocence, you only get a weapon, sub-weapons, and magic. There's no like innocent devil system. The plot the plot doesn't really exist in Lament for a lot of it.
The innocent devil system is like when they gave me the devil seed that I could make into another innocent devil and take it down a different evolutionary route, I said out loud, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I get you. You need to...
So there was this weird part in the middle of the game where I was like, this has jumped up in quality a lot. The areas aren't too long and the bosses are fun. You fight Isaac, the first fight with him. Then you fight Saint Germain, and then you fight Trevor. And I'm like, these are pretty good. And then the Infinite Corridor happens.
Yeah.
And then I fight a boss that I ended up just brute forcing because I could not understand how to dodge his attacks.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This game came out in November of 2005.
Yes. Yeah, this came out alongside like Soul Calibur 3.
This game came out 10 months after Devil May Cry 3.
Yes.
It came out it came out in the same 12-year span as Resident Evil 4, Devil May Cry 3, Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, 12-month span.
Hearts
you
2.
mean 12-month span. Okay. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I would not recommend anybody go back and play Curse of Darkness. Have fun, KZ.
I don't know.
After that, I played...
After the bouncer, KZ's heart is hardened.
What?
After that, I played Akiba's Beat because it was on sale for $15. And I'm like, well, I'll buy this. I'll buy it for $15. Yeah, it has a real bad combat system.
Yeah, no, boy. It's like it's just straight up. We ripped off Tales of games, but we did it wrong.
Maybe it has like it's. Did you play Tales of Graces?
Yeah,
it's specifically that one, but bad.
Yeah.
But here's what I do. Here's what I do. I turn down the difficulty to easy so I don't have to engage with the game on any level, and fights take literally under 5 seconds. And then I enjoy the really good localization and hilarious dialogue, and that's how I'm going to play through that game.
Does it make you XD?
A little bit.
Okay, rawr.
It's like a whole. I need to see when this game came out real quick in Japan.
So Bob, you know how I got through Curse of Darkness?
How did you do that, Dan?
Listening to the soundtrack and looking at Hector's really cool cape. His like
sash.
So this
sash?
Game,
yeah.
I thought this game had come out early last year, but it came out early 2017, so it could not be as you know how Epic Movie just watches trailers of movies and then makes a copy based on those?
Oh,
yes.
No.
Yes.
Akiba's Beat kind of feels like somebody did that with Persona 5.
Yeah.
because there's even a character that is exactly like Morgana from Persona 5.
Yep.
And this is equally irritating.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's kind of funny, so I'm going to push that garbage down my throat.
Blech.
That's really sad.
I also bought the Caligula Effect, but I haven't started playing it yet. It's sitting right next to me. And I played the Caligula Effect is a JRPG that it had a Vita version that ran terribly and nobody bought. It didn't even get localized.
Mm.
And then they made a PS4 version called Caligula Effect Overdose, and that came out a week ago. It came out the week after DMC 5. So I went, oh, this is out. I'll buy it and play it. So I'm going to buy and play that. I'll report on that probably not next week because I'll probably be playing Sekiro.
Wata.
And then I played one other thing.
Oh, God, is this the recommendation?
No. The recommend. No, we'll talk about that later.
Oh, God.
It's secret.
So Nintendo
My
did
blood
an
pressure.
Indies. Nintendo did an Indies presentation on Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
Blaster Master 2 was announced and came out. That a good Inti Creates game.
Yeah, it's by
That
Inti
looked
Create.
raw. I own the first one. I haven't played it.
How do you know? I beat it and I don't remember a single thing about it.
I don't know. I looked at the trailer. It looked raw. I remembered I bought the original for like $2 on a sale once.
Mm-hmm.
You can play Shantae.
So
Ooh.
in Blaster Master 0?
Yep.
Yep.
They added that eventually.
Okay. So now,
That's fair.
people might know, I am not the biggest fan of Inti Creates.
Yeah.
I did not intend to buy this game, but I went onto Twitter and saw people posting screenshots, and there's one of the early bosses is like a Japanese peasant farmer covered in like cyber armor.
Ooh.
What?
And they posted his pre-dialogue, his pre-fight dialogue, which is like, "You ruined my crops. I hope you're ready for a beating, you spud." and then my timeline
Hold
filled
on.
with
I have to go buy this.
filled with fan art of a character who has a potted plant for a head and giant boobs that are watermelons. And I was like, maybe Inti Creates has gotten over their tonal problems that make me despise them. So I buy the game and I turn it on, and the first thing is my companion has the mutant corruption and she's hooked into Sophia 3 and she's slowly dying and we have to go across space to find her a cure, and I just, wasn't I strong enough to keep her from getting the mutant disease? And I'm like, already?
That's raw.
Already we're here? And that's when I realized my biggest fucking problem with intro. Oh, by the way, this game is like a 6.5. It's mid, it's the same flavor of mid as every Inti Creates game. It's slightly worse than their Mega Man 9 and 10 and Curse of the Moon. It's
Yeah, I
below
was about
their
to ask. That's the only recent Inti Creates game I played, and I really like that.
it's below their top level of stuff by a little bit, and just makes me tired. But I've never seen a company so far up its own ass about its stories that are nothing.
Was that intro like 12 paragraphs or just never ended?
Yes,
Of course.
Yeah.
Every
yes.
time.
Every time, yeah.
And it's just, so this is my problem with them, because they're like, we have the most generic anime plot lines ever, but we're gonna fucking treat them like they're so serious and deathly important. It's not like Way Forward, who like realize they're making fucking goofy video games and there should be a sense of fun in their game.
Right.
You know, you play even Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10, it's like, Dr. Wily went to these robot masters who were going to be brutally recycled because of a horrible law that gives robots an expiration date. And then fucking Mega Man 10 is like, Roll has robot cancer and gives her treatment to Mega Man so he can go defeat Dr. Wily. It's like they can't fucking stop.
Yeah.
Every single game.
Yeah, every game they do, they hit the notes on what is the most tragic we can go with this concept we're given, and yet remain with no gravity at all, like meaningfulness to it.
It feels like Gundam Wing, but worse.
Gundam Wing's pretty good.
I can't.
Gundam.
I can't.
It doesn't have Gundam Wing has strengths, but also its story is like the same level of we're so far up our own ass about our story that is nothing.
Zex is hot.
That's the only reason anybody watches Gundam Wing.
No.
Because they're like, I want the ex-boy to raw me.
No, the opening sequence where he goes, "I'll kill you," when invited to a birthday party is the fucking reason.
I watched that show for the first time in 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
I watched
an
it
experience.
dubbed also because I needed to understand. I thought it was all right. I enjoyed that the whole way through.
Gundam Wing has strengths, like it has beautiful mech designs, and it's genuinely gorgeous in places, which Inti Creates games don't have. Well, they kind of have, because Inti Creates games always have really great presentation. I need their artists and musicians to be pulled out and put in another company.
I need Inti to lean in so far it looks like parody. I need their protagonists to say, "I'll kill you," in response to being invited to a birthday party.
See, that's also my problem, because it's like Gunvolt 2 was like that, where it's like so deathly serious and you have a sick little sister character.
I feel like Azure Striker doesn't lean far enough to be parody. It is, as you were saying, with this Blaster Master Zero, where it's just
I'm saying
Yeah.
I'd like Inti Creates more if they leaned into being super like garbage, hyper complicated, chuny anime. I'd like if they leaned into that more.
Right.
Even if they were still deathly serious, if they got stupid with it, it would be better.
Right. It's frustrating for it to keep negotiating with you on a level where it believes what it has to say is smart.
And there's like that one mirror character in Gunvolt that has the male side and the female side who dies off screen in the game.
Yeah, I never
But
finished
like
two.
I didn't even play two. Their concept art has like the male side trot doing like a stinger with a crystal on his dick.
Ooh.
And I'm like, if that energy was in the game, I'd be a lot more down with it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that fun in any of their games. And it's just, there's other problems. Like, people are telling me, no, it was that way in the first one. And I swear it isn't. But if you jump out of the tank, Blaster Master, you can jump out of the tank.
Right, yeah.
If you fall one tile further than your jump height, you take damage.
Yeah, that's called NES hard.
If you fall two tiles, you die.
You gotta be careful.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that
really
stuff.
Bad.
Never been much of a fan.
And here's the other thing, like Blaster Master has a lot of really stupid Nintendo hard shit that Inti Creates, because they don't have good ideas and their games don't have identity. They retained, but then included other things to make it easier. Like, it's really easy to take damage in this game, and your weapon gets weaker whenever you take damage because it's like the original Blaster Master. So, in order for every boss to not be unbelievably difficult, they all just constantly shit out tiny enemies that drop health and power-ups. So the screen is entirely filled with health and power-ups during almost every boss fight because from you killing these little shits.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about the big new mechanic, the counter mechanic.
Oh.
Ooh.
Imagine Witch Time, but fucking stupid.
Well, that's
So
not
Witch
hard.
Time.
Yeah, so I played Bayonetta 2. All right.
No, dumber. So
I played
press,
Bayonetta 1 and thought it was mid.
Right now, I'm really
You press,
thanking God that Dragonix doesn't listen to this podcast because all it's been is shitting on Inti Creates and then a really sick jab at Bayonetta 2.
you press X, it's X on the Switch, and you get like a twirl, and you think this can't be a dodge because it goes like an inch. So what is this? And then guys start shooting at you, and you're like, maybe it is a dodge, maybe it has iframes, and sometimes you'll get like a thing where there's hit stop, and your character shoots a homing shot at the enemy and does a bunch of damage. And then you're like, but why doesn't it react every time? Sometimes it doesn't trigger. What's the trigger? It's not actually a dodge, and it's not even actually a counter. The counter mechanic is not a counter.
What is it?
Sometimes enemies will just have crosshairs pop up on them.
Okay.
And if you tap it, then you get the big effect.
All right.
That seems random.
Wait.
It's not random. It's usually tied to their attacks, but it's certain attacks, and it's always before their attack starts, which isn't what a counter is.
What?
So you're reacting to a literal on-screen reticle instead of the enemy actually attacking?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this only in that top-down mode?
Yeah, it's only in the top-down mode. The other mechanic, which is also stupid for the tank mode, is where if you jump from a really high height, you get sub-weapon power back.
What?
It's not used in an interesting way, and later planets are covered in water where if you land in it, you don't get that at all anyway. And if you run out, it regenerates really fast, up to full. I got to like the fifth planet, which apparently is the planet where they decide, fuck you.
That's on every game design sheet.
So you know how like Mega Man has, and you know what? I just realized the only Mega Man games that did this were the Inti creates one. So I guess it must just be their thing.
Okay.
Where power-ups are mimics.
Yeah.
Except in this level, it's constant and you can't shoot them before they uncloak. So it's just like, here's a room full of health and power. And I'm like, every single one of those is an enemy. And then you get closer and every single one of them is an enemy. But that's not the part that's fuck you. The part that's fuck you is they introduce save point mimics.
Wow.
Why?
So I died because I couldn't find a save point, and there's this really long convoluted quest on the planet to get fruit for the aforementioned character with a plant for a head and watermelon boobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I died, and since there's no checkpoints except for those save points, which were all fucking mimics, it put me back at the start of that quest, and I'm like, I think I'm done for right now. I gotta wait to see if there's some atrocious fucking bullshit you have to do to get the good ending, like Inti Creates is also obsessed with, where I don't even remember what it was in Gunvolt. It was like, find these hidden rooms and get these crystals.
I was gonna say, I'm not even sure if Gunvolt had a good ending. It had
a true ending that you had to do bullshit to unlock.
Okay, because I felt like I found everything I could think of in that game. It still wouldn't give me anything different. So maybe I just screwed up. I guess
you have to look it up and see what you missed, or don't, because that game is bad. By the way, I'm gonna criticize. They were cowards for changing Gunvolt's design.
They changed it?
Or was it the big drift thing?
What happened was, originally there was two Gunvolt design. There was a Japanese one and an American one. And the Japanese one, he had a braid and his midriff was exposed. So people went crazy bitching because this was the era when we had to pretend that people that bitched about things like that weren't clowns.
We might still be in that era, but continue.
No, if you bitch about that, I'll fight you. But so they're like, okay, here's the American version where he doesn't have a braid and has a covered midriff. So then there was like drama online. There was discourse is the term for a couple weeks, and they're like, okay, we'll make a combined design where he has the braid but doesn't have the midriff. And I'm like, cowards, pathetic, weak-willed cowards.
Okay, thank you for your informative segment, Mr. Feel. Have you played anything else?
No, that was it. But there's something we need to discuss now that we're all done with this.
Now, I have a question, Dan. Would you, in the future, when I have to say what I've been playing, should I take 20 minutes as well on one fucking game?
That depends. Is it the bouncer?
Do you get to punch down on Inti Creates?
You went so long. I had enough time to buy the game, download it, and post a tweet about buying it.
Why did you do this, KZ?
You have really fast internet, KZ. That's not a...
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, see there?
Let me see this tweet.
I
posted that tweet like 10 minutes ago.
So I think we're ready to move on to news.
Fuck. Yeah, what's up?
No, but Dan.
What?
God, Dan.
What?
The Pod Lords.
Why? Why does this always happen?
The Podlords for this episode of the Big Think Dimension are Danny Richardson, Knockyak, Lady Popcorn, and Ely Broyles. Thank you very much, Podlords.
Thanks, Podlords.
Thank you, dear Podlords.
Thanks, Podlords.
Thank you, P-Dogs. You're the sheriff.
Wow, well done, Sheriff P-Dog. You sure killed all those citizens that wanted food.
Hold on. You reminded me I have something very important to do. Give me a second. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. You reminded me that we're the sheriff in town. I had to delete the Division 2 because I'm never fucking playing that game. Past those 20 minutes.
Wow.
Dude, Sekiro's out. We're done.
It had its chance.
We're done. This is priority. We're also all playing that game, so it's extra important.
So I guess we need to move on to the news for this episode of the Big Think Dimension. This week for the news, as I said, there's no tech nightmare for me to talk about, but there is something I need to talk about that is kind of tech related.
Nightmare was announced.
A tech nightmare was announced,
Yes,
but I
it was.
actually want to talk about something else real quick before that. I made an ambiguous tweet just a moment ago saying the following.
No!
I don't suppose anyone in the area wants to buy our current dope-ass TV for around $1,000, do they? No reason why. Don't listen to the Big Think Dimension. So if you're interested in buying our
The
TV...
iconic GigaBoots 4K OLED TV.
If you would like to buy the iconic GigaBoots 4K OLED TV for $1,000, me and Bob will even sign it if you want.
Field, you gotta buy this TV. It's gotta stay in the family.
Please let me know before you listen to the next news segment. In fact, don't even listen to it. Give yourself some time. Sit on this proposition and mull it over, okay?
So they're releasing a new kind of OLED, aren't they?
It's a little complicated, but
Is there going to be an OLED TV from last year's model that's pretty good and going on clearance?
no, it's actually this year's model. They announced some critical stuff about it just now, and it comes out next month. The LG OLEDs for this year, they have the full range of bullshittery, as you would expect. The W9, which is wallpaper thin and rolls up out of a fucking box. I'm not kidding you.
Isn't there something where they were like, we can get insanely good latency?
Well, I'm getting there. Don't spoil it. There's the E9, which does I don't even know what. And then there's the reasonable tier, the C9, because the B9 no longer exists. Anyways, they announced some stuff about the C9, which is coming out next month. Starting with the basic, its input lag is drastically reduced over ours and is technically on paper basically on par with CRTs or close. It's 13 milliseconds average, which means it's better than CRTs at the bottom of the screen and worse at the top. Either way, 13 milliseconds of input lag on a screen is really great. Period. Full stop. Secondly, it has a really cool feature that I'm just going to mention and move on. It has a new feature that's built into HDMI nowadays called automatic low latency mode. So if your PS5 or Xbox 2 hook up to it, they say, hey, I'm a fucking video game system. Put that shit into low latency. It'll do it without you changing a single fucking setting. That's kind of neat. Obviously, I'm not the type of person who needs it.
That's raw.
But it's raw. Third point.
You'll just have it always on that mode.
Yes, I do. I used to have the Xbox One in a prettier mode because we mostly used it to watch Blu-rays. But then we played one game with that latency setting, and it was fucking nightmare. Anyway, third point, it has variable refresh rate, which means your TV does FreeSync, which is the open standard version of NVIDIA's G-Sync, where it perfectly matches the screen's refresh rate to your game. Meaning if you play an Xbox One X or a PC with a proper video card that supports this, the screen will sync to your frame rate, which means 60 frames per second is no longer a magic number you need to meet or it won't look smooth. You can have your game run at 50 or 55 and it'll still look really, really smooth because the TV's syncing to it. And then the last thing, also the variable refresh rate thing will make it more compatible with random old consoles that output at odd frequencies. The most important thing, and this is really, they've accomplished everything I wanted from this OLED with this TV. And by this OLED, I mean TVs at large. They improved the black frame insertion thing where the screen's mostly turned off but turns on every so often. Because, see, back in the day of CRTs, they would send a scan line down the fucking screen, and that's all you would see. And one of the benefits of this is each frame would be crisp in your eye, and they wouldn't blur together. But once we started doing LCDs, all the frames blur together in your eyeball in a way that's complicated for me to explain. Anyways, this year's TV has black frame insertion. Our TV doesn't have it, and it's improved over last year to the point that is ridiculous. What I'm trying to say here is this thing is a fucking CRT now, basically.
Ooh.
A giant, flat,
Melee's back, baby.
HDR CRT. Yeah, Melee is back.
Finally.
Melee's
It's been
back
2
on
weeks,
the
they're
menu.
back.
Break the shower heads. Throw out the dove. We don't need it anymore. But yeah, so I
Gotta
would
roll on the concrete with some Axe body spray. We in there.
I did like that field tweet from the other day where it was like you could tell which part of an aisle you're on based on the scents of body wash. Was it peach and broke?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's right.
I mean, it's true and it's fucking hilarious. But
It goes from like, here's spring melon and Egyptian dawn and autumn breeze. Here's Fortnite dance. Here's Mountain Dew. Here's car grease. Here's shampoo, body wash, and conditioner in one bottle.
and deodorant.
Hey, we live in the world of speed. We need to achieve clear mind and get to our gaming, so we must do this as quickly as possible. Put all this shit in one bottle.
KZ's a man of efficiency.
Hey, when you spend 5 fucking hours doing one part of the bouncer, you have no time for anything else.
You don't get to live anymore.
You don't.
You don't have rights.
I don't. You stole my social security card.
In the past, I've always like the two most meaningful relationships I've ever been in. I was like, hey, you can just like, I don't care as long as the deodorant works, but you probably have an opinion on the specific deodorant. Choose one and I'll just wear that. And Toast, she did this like, I don't know, 3 years ago. She went to the store, she did that. She comes back with like Old Spice Wolfthorn. And I'm like, okay.
Man, you're raw.
That's fucking raw sounding. I imagine this is gonna like smell like old man cologne, but here we go. And I put it on.
Hey man, you want to go bowling into a movie with me?
And I
You little hottie.
So I wear it for a day. I come back from work and she goes, how did you like it? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And she goes, it smells like gummy bears, it doesn't it? And I go, oh my fucking God. And I take the cap off of it and I smell it. And I'm like, it's motherfucking gummy. They are selling gummy bear smell to men as Wolfthorn. I've never felt so conned in my life.
That's incredible.
I'm like a rabid dog. I smell like gummy bears.
Does it have a picture of a wolf
Yes!
with spikes coming out of it?
Okay, so it has a picture of a wolf and it looks so fucking ragged and fucking hardcore. It might as well be made of spikes.
Okay.
But
it
that's on
smells
the
like gummy
outside. On the inside, you're chewy.
On the inside, gummy bear. Bouncing here and there everywhere. But yeah, in any case, if I could sell the TV to someone for $1,000, I would upgrade it. So
Oh, that's what we're on.
that's what the tweet was about.
Feel this is your chance. We got to keep this in the family. You got to buy the TV.
Damn it.
No.
Damn it.
Why would I not? Now that he just said this super big dick low latency version is coming out, why would I buy his?
Oh my God.
See, that's why you
I
weren't
didn't think
supposed
you
to...
would care. You've said that input latency isn't real. You've been on my team.
I mean, KZ played through the entire bouncer on a thing that probably added 3 frames of lag. I don't know why anyone else on this podcast cares about input latency.
Can we please get to the news?
Yeah, no, that part's done, and I am not leaping into Stadia right after that. There's too much technical bullshit, so can we move on to anything else?
Sure,
Okay.
I'll take one.
Sure.
So, we had a Nindies Direct over the week, and there were 2 major announcements, both that bookended it. The first one is the one I was the most excited for, where I jumped up because I was so hype, because Cuphead is coming to the Switch.
Nice.
Did they give a date? Is it like already out or something?
It's like April 14th, and
Okay.
they confirmed that the DLC called the Delicious Last Course, which is going to have new bosses and stuff, will come out on all platforms at the same time. And a patch when the Switch version comes out next month will change the cutscenes to be animated instead of like still pictures with text, and some other balance changes, and you'll be able to, as one player, select which character you are, so you can pick Mugman, the better character.
That's really cool.
So yeah, they're doing a lot of extra stuff. I'm so excited that I don't have to use this Xbox anymore for one game.
That's fair.
I'm incredibly pumped, and it just Cuphead's fucking incredible. Like, I adore that game, so I'm really happy that more people are going to be able to play that and get really upset because it's pretty hard, pretty rough.
I feel like there's a lot of people who want to play that game and just didn't have an Xbox or
Yeah, because generally people who own Xboxes, let me put it this way. People who care about good games don't own Xboxes a lot of the time. Not
I just
a lot of
remember
exclusives.
how we saw Cuphead in like 2013, and then it went away for a while, and then Microsoft started canceling everything. So every time there was any Xbox event, Twitter's became, please locate Cuphead, please call Cuphead, find out if he's okay.
And then it's come out, and it's like the highest reviewed like Microsoft thing they've had, and it's like really, really good. And I remember people saying like the run and gun levels in that weren't very good. I liked them. They're hard as hell. Some of them really made me mad, but they're still pretty much on par.
I cannot believe this giant tweet chain you guys have had during this podcast about this fucking indie game.
Well, thankfully, you were talking about something really important about a TV, so there was plenty of time.
There was time. Yeah.
There was time to. We're advertising the podcast.
Right, that's true.
That's true. When KZ posts, Phil just went on a psychotic rant for 25 minutes. That gets people into the podcast.
That's what they're here for.
It really
honestly
does, because why did you have a psychotic rant? I was in more pain with the bouncer, and I at least took like 7 minutes. Checkmate.
Nothing hurts more than something you almost like but don't.
I almost liked the bouncer.
No, you didn't.
I was getting excited during that intro cutscene.
I almost liked it until the game started.
Hey, when he punched that computer, I was getting really pumped.
Yeah, no, you know why you were getting pumped? That Bouncer's a good game. Can we move on the news?
All right, the other thing that was in the Nindies Direct that was at the very end was the next Crypt of the Necrodancer game was announced, and it is called Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, because somehow this developer is making a Zelda game now.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
And you know what makes me really excited? Crypt of the Necrodancer's last area 4, I think. Not that great. But this has the Zelda IP attached, which means it's going to be the highest quality game possible, because otherwise Nintendo wouldn't let you do it.
Yeah, that's how that goes.
So this is a totally separate game. It's not an expansion.
Yeah. I think it's a separate game.
It was 2 or 3 months ago, the developer said, yeah, we've been really working on Crypt of the Necrodancer's updates for a while, but we really just kind of want to get that done. And now I can see why, because they were given one of the most popular IPs in video game history.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made it canon within its own game of, man, I got out of that Crypt out and I'm in Hyrule now.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it comes, and you don't really know what it is at first, because you see kind of Zelda-ish things, but you're like, oh, there's a million
reminiscent.
There's a million knockoff Zelda titles, whatever, and then you see something that looks really, really fucking close to like
Link to the Past type stuff.
One of the pathways on Hyrule Castle in Link to the Past, and then she's like, I have to save this land, but I won't do it alone. And Zelda and Link pop up next to her on the art.
It's super good.
Yep.
I need to check that trailer out.
Yeah.
It's
now,
it's real
what
cool.
I really hope is that the last Delicious Last Course, the Cuphead expansion coming this year, has like one Nintendo exclusive boss. Just
I saw fan art of like a super giant Bowser coming out of a little baby castle, and I was like, I want that so fucking bad.
Or Nintendo just money hats Cuphead 2 and steals it.
Yeah, because MDHR said, we own the IP. We we control where it goes.
Nintendo pays for Cuphead 2 and every boss is some Nintendo character.
Oh my. And it just becomes this Cuphead Smash Brothers thing where you're just like fighting various different villains.
Like, just imagine, like, Cuphead drops in, on the left is Diddy Kong, on the right is Donkey Kong, and, like, the old-timey show text goes, monkey business.
I'm thinking of animators having fun conceptualizing dark matter from Kirby and stuff like that, and just going insane with it.
I mean, I think that could be cool, but at the same time, like, man, that's a little... It'd be weird to see a whole game like that. Having a few bonus bosses like that would be amazing, but...
Maybe like an expansion type of thing, where it's like specifically Cuphead, you know, something related to Nintendo. Oh, that'd be really good. Because then you make a new character that's just a clone of Cuphead, but it's made out of Labo. There's some potential here. But that's the two book-ended Nindies. Did we have any other games that were announced there that we wanted to
there was a 10-minute long story segment that put me to sleep.
Okay, so it's not
story-focused games. There was a new game from Double Fine, which also isn't news because it looks really boring and uninspired.
It's not news, it looks boring.
Oh, that's rad, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah, it's called Rad, which feels like it has a Gearbox-esque energy.
I considered making the tweet "Rad is raw" with a question mark, but I did not.
Because you really weren't sure.
Who was the director? Like, they said from the director of blank. I can't remember.
I don't remember. I just saw Double Fine and my brain shut off.
Yeah, he introduced the game before they showed off, or before they had the president of the company come in. Can't remember.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I looked on Twitter right when it said Double Fine, and the entire timeline was vicious of like, well, this game's automatically bad now.
It's rough.
That
Yeah,
Double Fine effect.
I haven't seen it at all, so I have no opinion here.
It looked okay. It just wasn't anything I was super...
It looked like a top-down, like, Quintic style game where you changed out your body parts using mutations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a double fine game.
Since we brought up a twin stick shooter, I need to talk about it because I've been not talking about it. I've been really wanting to go back to Nex Machina for a bit here.
Ah, okay.
Nex Machina is a really solid game, and I feel like I should put some more time into it. I actually made
that way you can get hype for their next game, that Battle Royale, right?
Yeah. I will be glad to play that game for this podcast. I look forward to it.
Yeah, in the same level as Days Gone.
Yes, actually. The exact same level. Very excited. But Nex Machina is an excellent game.
I can't wait until to see your stream of that, Dan, where you kill those freakers.
They aren't called zombies. Don't call them zombies.
They're not
called freakers.
That's intense.
Is that like the stupidest fucking thing where somebody makes like a zombie thing in the real world, allegedly, but nobody just calls the zombies zombies? They gotta fucking have a stupid name for them.
Yeah.
Because they think about it and it's like, this is a world where zombie films never existed, so they call it their own thing. Like The Walkers.
Which is
At
insane.
least in The Last of Us, like, they had the weird split open plant heads and they clicked. So clickers at least made sense.
Because they weren't actually... They made their own zombie-esque type being, so you could kind of like go, I respect it. This is just zombies. This is just 28 days later zombies.
Now, see, whereas in The Last of Us, a fungus infects their brains, and that causes them to become clickers. In this, an energy drink will infect their brains, and that'll cause them to become freakers.
Mm-hmm. And suddenly you run into
DMC?
a freaker with a denim jacket, and you get very concerned.
You'll roll up on a freaker in a DX racer.
Yeah, it's using it as a riot shield.
Yep, it's smart. Very smart.
Mm-hmm. Big brain. All right, so do we have anything else with Nindies? Because I do have another short one.
There was nothing else really of note to talk about.
So I've written down here because I noticed it wasn't in here. The newest Dragon Ball FighterZ DLC character for Season 2 was announced. It is Kid Goku from Dragon Ball GT, and in my notes I wrote Raw with a question mark.
I'm pretty hyped.
How's everybody feeling? What's the temperature for each person?
It wounds me on a deep level that they're pulling from GT before Master Roshi is in the game, before Kefla is in the game, before like And it also
Before
wounds me.
PyCon is in the game.
It also wounds me that this is Kid Goku, meaning we'll never get actual Kid Goku.
Yeah, I think the only positive to this is that it seems to like his moveset's going to have a lot of like the power pole and
I
regular Kid Goku
understand
stuff.
why they did it. It sounds like they wanted to do Kid Goku from Dragon Ball, but they wanted to be able to use Dragon Ball Z moves as well. So they're like, whatever, it's GT. That way we can use Spirit Bomb and Kamehameha waves and shit.
Well, he had the Kamehameha from like early on in Dragon Ball. It feels more like to me that they were like, we want to do Kid Goku, and Bamco went, people go ape shit when they see GT. Good ape shit or bad ape shit. So why don't you just make his supers? Because I don't think any of his normal moves are GT shit, but his supers are like he goes
didn't
Super
do
Saiyan
anything
3.
in GT. He stood there and let things happen. Sorry.
He has his level 1 is supposed to be like I think it's his level 1 or 3 is a big Kamehameha wave.
His level 1 is a big Kamehameha where he goes Super Saiyan 3. His level 3 is his
only
first
happens
level 3.
if you're like low on teammates, actually.
Oh, well, it's a big Kamehameha.
Yeah.
His level 3 is the Universal Spirit Bomb from the end of GT.
That was wrong.
And he has a hidden level 3, which I'm sure is going to be he goes Super Saiyan 4 and does the 10 times Kaioken Kamehameha shit.
Yeah, it's like the times 10 Kamehameha, which is raw because the beam is red and not blue, and that's how you know it's serious. Or they could go with the much more interesting thing and not do Super Saiyan 4 at all, and he does Super Dragon Fist, which is how he took out.
That wasn't from GT.
Yeah, but he uses it against Super 17.
Yeah,
That's how he beats them.
That's what it's going to be. It'll be Super Saiyan 4 Goku doing the stupid fucking Dragon Fist. You know what?
Wait,
as long as
Why would he do? He never did it.
as long as no other GT characters get in, I'll accept this.
Again, I'm pretty sure it's just they wanted to use some more of the extravagant transformation stuff and that kind of thing from, the later stuff.
As long as we don't get baby Vegeta and they start bringing in like fucking Mira and Toa from Xenoverse.
Yeah, I might have to just sell my game if they put in Baby Vegeta.
When's General Rildo getting infield? I need to know.
They start bringing in fucking Xenoverse characters like the cast of demon characters that carry swords and shit.
They haven't gotten the iconic characters in yet, like Dodoria, Turles, PyCon, #PyCon gang. We need to get these in.
What, man, you went with Dodoria, who is the more nothing of those two. At least Zarbon could have moves.
Yes. Dude, Dodoria would be raw. He'd have like spit combos.
Dabura would be good. I'd be fine with Dabura. He can make the weapons. He has magic. He could have Babidi as a striker. It'd be just...
You know what? Babidi would be a good idea where he like is a different alternative Ginyu Force type of character where he has all the assists for all the other minions.
He has all the fucking jobbers.
He has like the light eater. He has the dude who died to Vegeta in 1 minute. He has Deborah.
Jesus Christ, we gotta move on.
Or Dan is crumbling. He's turning into fucking V.
Dan is like, oh shit, Dragon Ball happened again. Zeon's winning.
If I wanted this shit, I would be talking to fucking Zeon right now.
We're summoning him. He's going to show up at your door and just beat on your window. Let me in.
Zeon was actually here in the last week. And you know what we did? We watched Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. It was a very pretty movie with an awesome soundtrack.
Did he spoil it while you watched it?
No.
Yeah, but before you guys watched that, we were playing Smash and we talked about Dragon Ball once he put on his headphones.
Yeah. But there was a good moment of Into the Spider-Verse that me, Zeon, Bob, we all enjoyed, and Tosh did too, where Aunt May looks at Peter Parker from another dimension and goes, "Peter, are you wearing sweatpants?" It's this tone of disappointment and judgment that I was not expecting.
Because he was outside of his house.
I just thought
I heard the general message of that movie, and I feel like it fits here. Eric, even you can be Spider-Man.
Yeah, there you go. It's a very solid. just in a different dimension. Phil, do you have any news for us to talk about before we launch into Stadia?
I feel like we should probably save Stadia for our last thing, since it'll probably be a bit longer in the tooth.
Oh, yeah.
And mind-numbingly boring.
Possibly.
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay, let's whip through these real fast. Anthem canceled its GDC panel about how successful Anthem was.
What? They had... What? I don't think it was about how successful it was, I think it was about the methodology through which they made the game, which, when you think about that, is absurd to run a panel on when it's clearly a nightmare.
Also, they put out like a pompous press release about how Anthem is BioWare's best launch other than Mass Effect 3, but then you look at the sales numbers for Mass Effect 3 and go, oh no. Let's go through the Epic segment real quick. All of David Cage's terrible games are coming to the Epic Store on PC.
Very excited. Very excited.
I'm glad Sony doesn't care.
I'm really curious what the circumstances of this were, because Sony must own those games. Like, there's no way they don't.
They don't own that company anymore. Sony has basically stopped their working relationship with...
Yeah, but Sony still owns those games, meaning Epic must have paid Sony.
Possibly the contracts could just be written up for a limited time exclusivity or a console exclusivity, and it didn't make sense for that company to spend any amount of time porting it to the PC when they needed to be working on Beyond Two Souls.
It could be
Detroit Become Human.
It could be a situation like
Maybe?
when Square let Hitman developers go and just let them keep those IPs.
Yeah.
They could be seeing the same thing here.
I'm just curious about it. Also, I do think it's funny that like last week it was like Steam gets the Master Chief Collection, Epic gets David Cage.
Yeah. Because this came up in the news, that person on Twitter needed to tweet the same thing they tweet every time Heavy Rain comes up, which is the scene where the guy's like, I'll never get over the fact that I'm the reason my two sons died. And then the girl next to him's like,
I want you to have a child with me. I mean, in Indigo Prophecy, they have sex on top of a grave, I think.
It's deep.
But Tosh has no frame of reference. My girlfriend Tosh has no frame of reference for any of the David Cage games. So that tweet hit her like fucking out of nowhere. I'm like, yeah,
Did she
no.
die?
Yeah. She's dead now.
I feel like you have to go through Heavy Rain on stream.
Yes, we plan on doing David Cage games with aggro at some point. And it's absolutely something we have to do.
Yeah, I
so
did
that wasn't the only
was aggro and Xeon, and it was
I
delightful.
know his reaction to the chickens.
not Beyond Two. Heavy Rain and like Beyond Two Souls is the worst one, I think.
Yeah,
like Heavy Rain is stupid and funny, and Detroit has like the guy who improv'd all his dialogue and ignored what David Cage wrote, and therefore the character ended up better.
Yeah.
And then, but Beyond Two Souls is just like mind-numbingly boring, and then David Cage gets sued for modeling Ellen Page's breasts without her consent. Which, by the way, Sony paid out for, so I don't think Sony was very happy about that.
Not so much.
Epic got some other exclusives. They get the Outer Worlds, Obsidian Entertainment's Fallout answer for a year.
That's
which
cool.
A lot of people are upset with, including people that worked on New Vegas.
Oh.
There's this. I'm just gonna go into this for a second. Where I'm glad Steam has competition, but every single time a member of the media opens their mouth about the Epic Store, I hate it and want them to shut the fuck up.
Thank you. Yes, that is the exact balance we need to strike on this podcast. Yes, competition, good. No, Epic having more control, bad.
That's not even it. It's always shit like Epic CEO says everybody but the people paying money will decide who wins this war. And I'm like, will you shut up? Will you please shut up? Just stop talking.
I mean, the thing for me is that they sit there and they pretend that it's a universal good. And it's like, not really. Kind of like this Google Stadia thing. I really wouldn't be rooting for the people with shitloads of money and a huge stranglehold on a part of the industry to get an even larger grasp.
Yeah, I'm like, they already own one of the best, or one of the biggest
They own the best engine for making
like, I
video
understand
games.
why Epic is getting exclusives, because otherwise nobody will stop using Steam. Because it's just people own too much shit on it.
Right.
So I understand it, but like this trend of we're getting exclusives after they're announced is kind of fucked up.
Is it though?
And nobody's going to be happy about that. I feel like where it's like, here's our big reveal for the game. 3 months later, Epic launcher only.
Yeah. I get
And with
that.
the Metro one was especially fucked up because you could buy it on Steam for like 6 months.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that one
one's
was-
fucked up.
Yeah, that one
Some
was
people
really...
had to like rush to like pre-order it just so they'd be able to get the Steam thing.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't even care about Metro, but when I heard that, I almost rushed to pre-order it. I was like, oh, fuck no.
You're like, I don't care, but maybe if I want to play it, I'd like to play it on Steam.
Right.
But Epic's exclusivity is only for a year on most of these games, I think.
That's all.
Not to be a dick here, but a year is about what it'll take for an Obsidian Entertainment game to not be crippled with bugs, so I'm okay waiting.
I mean, to be fair, they're making it on something that isn't a Bethesda engine, so that helps.
I mean, Alpha Protocol wasn't on a Bethesda engine.
I'm just saying it helps. I'm not saying it's foolproof.
It's no silver bullet.
I imagine that now that the Epic Store has launched, more games are just going to get announced and go, yeah, we're on this, so there will be a lot less sniping that will be happening.
Right.
But as it stands right now, it is awkward when you get really excited for something that's on Steam. No, it's not anymore. This is much worse than the Metro situation because you saw trailers with Steam, it didn't even have a chance.
This one like twinged my eyebrow, but it didn't really bother me. The one that's gonna gut me and make me like shittingly angry is if Doom Eternal is locked to that fucking Bethesda launcher.
Oh yeah,
You're gonna fart it and shit it impeded.
Because Rage 2 they already said Rage 2 is Bethesda launcher
Oh, you're
only.
fucked. You're so fucked if even Rage is on there.
No, Rage 2 isn't a big deal. Doom Eternal is going to be the one that's big. And if they're like, we'll just give up 90% of our PC sales to be dicks. If they do that, fuck Bethesda.
I mean, after it launches and no one buys it, they will give up after like 3 months.
bend.
I'll wait.
Yeah, everyone will.
I hope Fallout 76 being so dire kind of killed the plans for everything on the Bethesda launcher.
Maybe it shook them awake just a little bit.
No.
This is real minor. Nelk and the Legendary Alchemists comes out next week. Nothing has mentioned it, so I wanted to.
What is it?
It is a spin-off of the Atelier games where you play as a character called Nelk who lives, or maybe it's Nelke, I don't know. She lives in a town, and you meet all the characters from previous Atelier games as NPCs, and it's like a town building version of the Atelier series. I think it has a town building element.
That sounds really good. That's kind of an exciting way for that series to go.
And they're still releasing another Atelier game in May, Atelier Lula, which is for the anniversary of the Arland Atelier games, which got PS4 ports. Will switch in PS4 and PC ports last December. So those are like the fan favorite ones. So they went back to that for the 10th anniversary.
Cool. I think there's...
Out of nowhere, Lucasfilm's Games is back.
We need to talk about this.
Wait, what?
No, it's not. This office
isn't?
This office has been open since LucasArts closed down. They're mostly
just hiring for it now.
Yeah, and they've actually been hiring for it before. It's really complicated, but Disney clarified. They said that this label, Lucasfilm Games, actually was brought back around the time LucasArts closed its doors several years ago. Specifically, it's to manage the Star Wars brand, not so much to develop games internally. And Disney reiterated that Disney and Lucasfilm Games are still doing the EA partnership stuff. So this is still just a managerial thing. Do not get excited yet.
I was hearing something about small scale games being made by that. I was like, just give me something, man.
I mean, yeah.
Come on.
I think all of us want EA to stop having a stranglehold on this bullshit.
Like my issue is even though I didn't enjoy the prequels a bunch, there was just magic everywhere. So many fucking Star Wars games came out, and now this new trilogy has nothing.
Nothing.
It had one Lego game.
I enjoyed the films to a degree, but I'd like a bunch of video games that utilize the new stuff, and there's Star Wars Battlefront 2, and that story is abysmal.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Wow, you killed all my friends. I guess I'm joining you now.
Wow.
I didn't even get that far, because once I reached the point where I realized, oh shit, what they decided was they just threw in all of the fucking hero characters that you can play in Battlefront 2 and went, we'll just make levels based on that. That way it incentivizes you to buy these characters. And then I was like, some of these don't even make sense in the narrative at all. The first three missions are okay. Like, I think they wove together really good, and if you followed it, the preview coverage was only those first 3 levels, and then after it, it just takes a fucking nosedive. I was so pumped in the beginning, and then it just became like the bouncer of Star Wars games. It was just awful. Didn't feel good.
I don't know.
Darth
And
Vader
I'm
took
super
off his
worried
shirt,
because they're like,
wearing overalls.
Darth Vader's
when they're like, we're canceling this one game to put out a game this year because we need a fucking Star Wars game this year. I'm like, I just started having thoughts like, oh god, it's gonna release unreleased. It's gonna be fucking unfinished. It's gonna be so busted like everything else you've fucking been releasing.
Jedi Fallen Order, the legendary game.
So to transition us out of talking about how much we dislike Star Wars games by EA, which could literally show up every week until they lose the license.
I own both Battlefronts.
I'm so sorry.
That Respawn game might be okay.
I would like
want
to
to dream.
I would like to know.
I want it so bad, Bob.
I'd like to know a very weird fact about the universe I just found out.
What?
It turns out the director of Curse of Darkness name is Takashi Takeda, along with Koji Igarashi as the producer. Takashi Takeda is the name of one of the combat kids from Mortal Kombat X. So when
Is
Oh my
it?
god, you're right. Takeda.
I'm dying. I'm like, man, he looks kind of wait a second.
I believe that's also like the first gay Mortal Kombat character too. He's the
Is
boat
he?
dude.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even know. I did not.
There's like
that's
one
right.
actually
I
subtle,
remember
well-written scene in the Mortal Kombat X story mode where you're like, wow, this handled this better than any other game I've seen.
Better than Mortal Kombat had the right to handle this subject.
Yeah.
Like so many other studios, I feel like would have done this in a way that would not work, but here it's subtle, respectful, and cool. Also, I don't think he's in the new game.
Surely
been
he is,
announced,
and they just
yeah.
haven't shown him
They
yet.
already should get brought back 2 of the other combat kids. I'm sure they're all back, no matter how much they should be.
I hope so. I liked his play style.
He has to meet the not fucked up Kung Lao.
The story mode looks really raw.
As usual.
The story mode, if nothing else, the story modes are hilarious. Like
This
Mortal
one looks
Kombat
extra
9.
hilarious with Johnny Cage talking to asshole Johnny Cage.
With Mortal Kombat 9, where Shao Kahn snaps Kung Lao's neck and starts flexing as Raiden just screams. Or in Mortal Kombat 10, when Raiden is surrounded by all the dark versions of the characters, and they're like shoving him like a schoolyard bully. They have like a ring, and they're just shoving him back and forth.
It's so good, man.
It's great.
So I hope we get a scene on that level of being funny.
Probably, most assuredly, Ed Boon will deliver.
And here's one that was revealed like 5 minutes before we started recording this. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 was announced and is coming out Q1 2020. Avalone is writing it. Is that how you pronounce that? I have no idea how to
I
pronounce
believe
that man's
so.
name.
Yeah.
Chris Avalone is writing it, so it'll probably be fucking good. And
He's
if you've
doing a
never
lot of stuff, right? He did. Isn't he doing Dying Light 2?
I think that's right. I think you're right.
know.
I remember him. I think it was him.
I think he's working on. I think he's working on that Star Wars game we just talked about, Fallen Order.
Oh God, please!
I think it might just be rumored because he's not allowed to say, but he's definitely working on this. So good. Everything he writes on is usually good. I think.
Isn't Bloodlines like 15 years old or something?
Yes.
What's he
Bloodline
written for?
PC game.
Like, what's he known for?
He wrote New Vegas. a lot of New Vegas, not all of it. He wrote a lot of Knights of the Old Republic 2. There was something. He wrote parts of Pillars of Eternity.
Okay. So a lot of the very long.
He's like
Obsidian stuff.
Yeah.
He's like the good Western RPG writer that brings a lot of credibility to any of those projects.
He came to one of our Twitter threads about Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
He did.
He did.
But Bloodlines was the game that I forget who published it.
Konami,
EA?
because it was Castlevania Bloodlines on the Genesis, which is exactly what I thought when you said Bloodlines 2 was announced, and I look at Bob and I'm like, what the fuck is he? Castlevania
That's called Portrait of Ruin?
Oh, right. Good point. They already made Bloodlines 2.
Activision published it. So it's the one where it's like, we're using Valve's new Source 2 engine to make our game. And then Activision was like, push it out now before they can get Half-Life 2 out. We'll be the first one with the engine. Push it out, push it out, push it out. Or not Source 2, but just Source. But Activision made them release it like criminally unfinished and buggy because it was like, get it out before Half-Life 2. We'll use that as a marketing point.
Yeah, that's Activision for you.
I do recommend buying it. It's like $5 everywhere if you've never played it. It's the one that has shit where like you can play as a vampire from a clan where everybody is insane. So you get to like have conversations with a stop sign, and your vampire powers involve making other people insane. So you get a lot of dialogue options. It does have that problem that a lot of Western RPGs of that era have, where it's like you can be a social character who doesn't fight at all until the last 20% of the game, at which point, fuck you.
Oh, what a great trope.
Yeah.
I love
Classic.
Deus Ex is great.
it. Bob, please, Dave Sex.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
So I'm excited for that. And now going back to, this isn't mocking like the David Cage and Anthem mocking. This is me shitting on Activision further.
Completely
I forgot about
different.
them publishing.
Isn't
I forgot
that
about
a little unfair feel?
No.
Okay.
Never.
So Activision, once again, they said this right. So Activision has put out yet another statement to news sites like, Destiny didn't break up with us. We broke up with them. Everybody, write that we're not mad. I want everyone to know we're not mad.
Why would they do this? Like, literally, why would they do this? Like, people forgot, or starting to forget, right?
They did this right when it came out. I mean, right when the news came out, and now they're doing it again because I guess they hope they can change history. But
they have Sekiro coming out. Aren't they publishing that? They should be looking pretty good, right?
No.
Okay.
But the really offensive part of this was like, well, we let Destiny go because Destiny was using up our very valuable development resources at places like High Moon and what's the fucking other one?
Raven? Or the other one?
High Moon and Vicarious Visions that were helping Bungie to develop Destiny. And it's like, you fucking assholes. You had High Moon and Vicarious Visions on Destiny because you set a content roadmap that would necessitate that so you could take money from Destiny so they wouldn't be able to get out like they just did.
Yep. It's great.
Yep.
And not only that, in that last round of layoffs, you cut the people from High Moon and Vicarious Visions who had been working on Destiny, you fucking lying frauds. They were using up our development resources that we fired as soon as we weren't using them to cripple Bungie.
Yep. It's great. It's a great industry, and they're one of the greatest people in it.
You know, I feel like EA and Activision are on like a seesaw, and certain times which one is the great evil keep seesawing.
Yeah.
They exist on their own dimension of evil.
We've gone back to the Activision being worse phase. Because as bad as EA's biggest, at this current point, EA's biggest crime is just making shitty games. Activision's crime is telling people flat out lies about how it blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Them just going, we needed that development talent. Asterisk, we fired them right after that we got them back.
Yeah, and I feel like they're not getting called out enough on that in the games news industry. So at least us taking a moment to do that is helpful in that extent.
Welcome to the Resistance, Podlords.
Welcome to the Resistance, Podlords. You're going to be the new Resistance Sheriff. At least until Sekiro comes out.
I already deleted the Division 2.
Oh, sorry.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, Shinobi.
Hello, Podlords. Podlords die twice. So Bob, we had some announcements about some collections.
Oh yeah, these are pretty neat. I'm excited.
New collections coming from Konami, apparently being handled by Hamster, which, as I understand it, a pretty good sign. Hamster does the arcade classics on like Wii and PS4.
I haven't heard anything bad about those.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about them in a while. And I'm sure if there is anything bad about them, someone will summon Firehawk to inform me. So,
I mean, it could be worse. Isn't Digital Eclipse pretty hit or miss with a lot of the stuff?
Digital Eclipse usually has really good trimmings around a total shit package, where it feels like garbage to play, but they have a rewind feature and they have an awesome art gallery. And to be honest, I have their SNK collection over there.
They did the Mega Man ones, right? Or they did the first Mega Man one, and the second one was internally by Capcom.
Yeah, they did the first Mega Man Legacy collection. They did the Saturday morning cartoon collection with the DuckTales and
they also did the Street Fighter collection.
Did they? Yeah, they did. They also did
gallery's
Street Fighter.
amazing.
And that actually has
perfect.
And that one actually has reasonable input lag. Believe it or not, it's not too bad. It's not terrible. And then we also have their SNK collection on the Switch. But the Hamster's going to be handling this, not Digital Eclipse. And they have 3 different collections they've announced: Castlevania Anniversary Collection, Contra Anniversary Collection, and Arcade Classics Anniversary Collection. And since Arcade Classics is the only one with all the games announced, I'm going to go ahead and read it.
All right.
The first one upsets me because it should be in the Castlevania collection, but it isn't. But here we go. Haunted Castle. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that probably shouldn't even be released.
I mean, one, maybe not, but whatever. I want it, and I'm getting it for fucking Castlemania anyways on the PS4.
I've only heard of like 2 of these.
Wait. When are these coming out?
Arcade Classics is coming out in April, but they've already released. They have already released Haunted Castle as an arcade classic, just for sale by itself. But this is a collection. I believe do you remember the price on this, Bob? I know that
it's $20.
Yeah, it's like $20.
It's $20 for each of these.
A decent deal for each collection.
Seems about right.
So Haunted Castle, Typhoon, Nemesis, which is a Gradius game, Vulcan Venture, which is Gradius 2, Light Force, which is Salamander, which is also a Gradius game, Thundercross, Scramble, and Twin Bee.
That's 4 shooters I really want to play, so I'll probably buy this.
Yeah, no, that seems like a pretty solid collection. Now we're going to move on to Contra Anniversary Collection, which has Contra, the arcade version, Super Contra, the arcade version, Super C, the NES version, Contra 3, the Alien Wars, the SNES version, and 4 mystery games. Does anyone want to guess what these mystery games are?
I can.
Yes,
I got guesses.
Okay.
You go first.
It's definitely going to have a Contra Hardcore, which is for the Genesis, which was
that's one of mine.
Which I played recently after watching Giant Bomb fail at it multiple times. That game's really cool, and I really liked it. And there's like some fat dude who locks you in a computer and says, "Welcome to the virtual zone."
Yeah, it's
so I really
amazing.
hope that if Contra Hardcore is in this, they patch the English stuff into the Japanese version where you have health.
Oh, one of those situations, huh?
In the Japanese version of Contra Hardcore, you get 3 hits. In the American version, you get 1.
Konami seemed to really think Americans left having their nuts stomped on. I don't understand why.
It's fuck Blockbuster.
Oh yeah, that would be it. Huh? Because that stuff came out about the Lion King game, where it's like we had to make the second level 3 times harder because Disney said people were beating it too quickly in testing. And they're like, well, our next level was really hard because we wanted to do easy, hard, and scale like that. But then it all got fucked because you got to combat those rentals.
Oh my God. Okay, so what are the other guesses, KZ?
With this one, I was wondering if they would do the DS one, but I feel like that'd be a little bit too hard to port. I think they'll do Contra Rebirth, which was that WiiWare one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always good to save things from WiiWare.
Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much my only guesses from that, because I don't think they'll do the PS2 one.
Yeah, Contra Rebirth seems like it would be a good idea if they're going to do Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth for the Castlevania collection. Then they have a reason to port some stuff from the Wii. They get to do it on 2 games instead of 1. and the
Yeah,
engine.
I was thinking that too.
Those two games are actually made by the same developer, so the work porting one would easily translate to the other because they're probably based on a lot of the same underpinnings and engine stuff. So
Yeah.
my guess is going to be hardcore Contra Rebirth. I think they're going to do maybe a Game Boy version of Contra, just because that thing's really ambitious for the Game Boy. I think that's entirely possible. And then I think, sadly, they're probably just going to do like the NES version of Contra.
Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta, I feel like.
Because it's nostalgic. Hopefully
It's
they
like
have a region
people wanna-
switch.
People want to play that original Contra.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no. I get it.
Okay, Bob, what's yours?
I have like a list of dream games for me to play on this collection.
Okay.
The first one is Hardcore Uprising.
Yeah,
That needs to get off of the PS3.
that would be great.
Neo Contra. That's the
Okay.
best PS2 one.
Yeah.
Easily.
It's the best one between Contra Hardcore and Hardcore Uprising.
Yes.
So that's like 15 years of Contra that's not as good as Neo Contra?
Contra Shattered Soldier was like the first one of those games I ever played.
Okay.
I got it like on a rental, and it was really cool.
Oh, you
I
should
didn't
try
get very far because it's Contra.
You should try Neo Contra at some point. It's a much better version of Shattered Soldier. It has it benefits from being a later in the cycle PS2 game.
Right.
Yeah, a bit more refinement.
Yeah, and then I also just wrote down Contra Rebirth and Contra 4, because I think it'd be really neat to see Contra 4 also moved
would
off the
be-
DS.
That would be neat. Phil, what's your list?
Well, my dream list would be Contra Hardcore, Contra Rebirth, Contra 4, and Contra Force, as stupid as that is. But I'm pretty sure that Contra 4 would be too hard, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be Contra NES, Contra Hardcore, Contra Rebirth, and like the Game Boy one, like you said, because they already have a Game Boy one in the
Castlevania collection, yeah.
Castlevania one.
So we'll go ahead and move on to the Castlevania Anniversary
But they could
collection
do it.
then.
They could do it. They ported fucking Gunvolt to PC. It is possible to port DS games to things.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
I've thought a lot about the next one, so I can burn through mine first once you get through it here.
Okay, so the games we know about are Castlevania 1, Castlevania 2, Castlevania 3, and Castlevania 4, but there's a twist! Castlevania 2 is Castlevania Adventure 2, Belmont's Revenge Game Boy. It is not Castlevania 2 on the NES, which I love. I love that they did this. It's so good.
There's like nobody wants to play that.
Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge is a really good game. Castlevania 2 on the NES is a very contentious game.
Whoever's doing these ports fucking has some sense.
Yeah.
It's like they thought about it. They went and they didn't just like pick titles off a shelf. They went,
That
let's
alone
make
makes
an appealing package to people who also kind of know.
Yeah.
like people who don't know won't miss that game, and people who do know will be glad there's something other than that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm at least think there's even a possibility of Contra 4. Like somebody knows.
Mm-hmm. Like hopefully porting that's a bit better, because I was looking at footage of like the top screen being used to make the levels like higher vertically to be able to see stuff. So I don't know how hard that would be to translate to a widescreen display, how goofy that would look, or how hard it would be to do.
It'd be pretty rough.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
So my for my guesses for this Castlevania collection is they said that this was the first Castlevania collection that's supposed to show you the origins of the roots of the series, which makes me think this is the Classicvania collection, and they might just do an Igavania related collection later.
They did say they were going to do more collections, yeah.
They said they'd do more collections, and they called out that this is like the early ones, and I'm like, they might.
I think they might have said. I think they might have said first Castlevania collection, even.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking that this is the classic games, and then they will rescue our children from the evil portables that have held them captive for years. But that means I think that they'll obviously take the Rebirth game, since we're thinking that they'll do that for Contra as well.
Okay.
I think Rondo will be in, because this is multi-platform, so I don't think it matters that they release that somewhat mid collection of 2 games on PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll put Rondo in there. I don't think Symphony will be in there, just because
Right.
I feel like it'll stick out given everything else, and I feel like it would better fit to sell alongside a set of Igavanias people don't know as much about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other games will be Castlevania Bloodlines, and I'm stuck on what else this could be, like what other one they could that they could choose here.
I've got a few more.
Yeah, but yeah, those are my three, I guess, which would be Bloodlines, Rondo, and the Rebirth game.
Okay, Bob, shoot.
Yeah, I got Bloodlines and Adventure Reverse, of course. But then I also got Castlevania Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, remake of 1 again with crazy red-haired Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
And Kid Dracula.
Fucking Kid Dracula.
Kid Dracula
Damn
is
it.
going to be on there.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it's going to be.
How did I not think of that?
I took to the Discord earlier this week to say that I thought Kid Dracula was going to be on there, but I'm actually I have something else. It's going to be Bloodlines, Adventure Rebirth, and Kid Dracula, but it's not going to be Rondo of Blood. It's going to be the Super NES version, you guys. It's going to be Dracula XX.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Again, Dan.
They're going to be like, hey, we already got a SNES port working. Let's do the fucking shitty version of this game because it's easier.
Yeah, no, that's definitely
In a perfect world, it'll be Rondo, and I lean towards Rondo more because, again, Belmont's Revenge Game Boy.
See,
so they know.
See, here's
In a
the
perfect
thing, though,
world,
right? This adds value to people who already own the other thing.
I feel like Chronicles is still out there, like, is there a replacement for either, just because it's
the other thing is
different.
only on PlayStation 4, and this is on everything.
Oh yeah, but having the shitty port version adds value to the people who already have the PS4 one, and since the PS4 is the most popular gaming platform, they need to figure out how to make it not feel as bad for people who bought that, because they have sales numbers.
In a perfect world, this will have the good Rondo in it, and when you beat it, you unlock the bad Rondo.
So that way you can laugh.
So that way people are like, oh man, I unlocked a whole new game. What is this? Oh no.
This looks the same. I don't get it. And then you go into the first level and you're like, wow, that fire effect is crazy. And then you keep playing and you're like, why is this so bad? Okay. Well, I think that's it. Now it's time to talk about Google Stadia.
I guess it. I thought it was time to go.
No, it's time to talk about
KZ.
Google Stadia. Sorry,
No, we
KZ.
got another hour, KZ.
Don't.
I'm not going to take an hour.
Hey, Dan,
What?
I have a question. It's very important.
Okay.
Do you know the difference between an RPG and an NPC?
I do.
Then maybe you can work for Google.
Oh, thank God. Finally.
What? I didn't watch.
That was
I
the
didn't actually
worst
watch
thing
this
in
presentation.
That was in the presentation. I watched Kyle Bossman wither to dust when that line was said.
It was one of the people from Google being like, but I don't know that much about video games.
Yeah.
But we have someone here who knows the difference between an NPC and an RPG.
He is a gamer.
He is a gamer. Please welcome Phil Harrison.
Yeah, that was
And then-
Phil Harrison's intro.
And he's like, hello,
And then
I'm
Phil
Harrison.
Harrison walks on, pulling his flesh mask over his reptilian face.
Phil Harrison's like, Microsoft thought they killed me, but they couldn't.
Here I can get things always online.
I would like to announce my new exclusive, even smaller but even bigger planet.
I'm more powerful than Don Matrick.
Yeah, he survived way too much to not be as powerful as Don Matrick.
Yes, but Don Matrick has
I mean, yeah, he didn't go to Zynga.
he's got the initial
You
D card.
you grab my tail, and I just shed it to escape.
But yeah, Google announced Stadia, which is a cloud platform for a game. A lot of people seem to be confused about this, so I'm going to break it down before we get anywhere into this conversation.
Like even feel.
Stadia is a console that Google will have on their side of the internet. They're going to have this very designed platform. It's a hardware profile, just like a PS4, just like an Xbox One. The difference is they design it to fit in those little rack server things, and it's sitting on their side of the internet. So the way you play your game is you're going to go to YouTube and watch a trailer for Assassin's Creed, and it'll say play now, and you'll click it, and they haven't announced pricing or anything else, but presumably if you have a subscription to this service, this Stadia service, you'll be able to play within like 5 seconds of clicking play it now because they have a 10 teraflop machine sitting on their end of the internet that has, I think they said, a terabyte of attached solid state drive storage. So its load times are insanely fast and its processing power is pretty beefy. And it's some pretty strong stuff. It's some pretty strong stuff.
This is the first time you've said tech stuff and I've understood all of it.
Well, that's because Microsoft prepared you 2 years ago with the Xbox One X.
Wait, hold on. Does this have a vapor chamber?
Casey, I'm disappointed to announce it does not have a vapor chamber.
Then what's the fucking point?
Now he gets it.
If there's no vapor chamber, there's no sale.
So what we need to talk about real quick is what is the bandwidth on this thing? Because I see a lot of numbers flying about. Now, if you were to use YouTube as reference, you would see the number 12 megabits per second. That's what YouTube says their recommended 60 frame per second 1080p video feed is on YouTube, and it's owned by the same company. So you would think that. But Phil Harrison in an interview, Phil Harrison in an interview with Kotaku on their podcast, where Jason Schreier cracked the most terrible fucking joke I've heard anyone say to a fucking executive.
Him who made that joke?
Jason fucking Schreier.
Of course it was Jason fucking Schreier.
He goes, one moment, I need to pull it up verbatim. Wouldn't want to misrepresent Jason Schreier. Might end up on the news if I do that. He says,
"Yeah, don't do that to the press, sneak fuck."
Don't do that.
He has you blocked. He probably has you blocked because you follow me.
He has me blocked because I retweeted a thing where a guy put some quotes up. I screen capped some quotes from a guy having a conversation with Schreier. That's enough reason to block me. Anyway, Jason Schreier says, "How many times has someone called it Google Stevia?" To Phil Harrison saying nothing. And then he goes, "Because that's what I call it. I want to put it in my coffee." And then Phil Harrison goes, "It's Stadia, Stadia."
I know, but I say Stavia. I'm a hilarious comedian. Do you get it?
I don't get it, guys.
Stevia is an artificial sweetener. Bob, Stevia is an all-natural artificial sweetener, and Schreier is a hilarious man.
Oh, no.
One of these two things is the truth, the other a lie. You must ask one of our two co-hosts which one's the truth and which is the lie. But beware, Bob, one of our two co-hosts will tell you the truth and the other will tell you a lie.
I feel like Phil usually
Jason
tells the
Schreier's
truth.
a great man.
We found the liar.
Jason Schreier's a great man. I believe he makes like $150 a month on this Kotaku website.
He makes somewhere.
He's like one of the three that actually get a salary.
Right.
The three in the entire industry, I mean.
But Phil Harrison in his interview with Kotaku was saying that the bandwidth for a 1080p game would be 25 megabits per second, over twice of what YouTube does, which not only is a little hard to keep consistent on a lot of internet connections, but then even weirder, he says for the 4K games, it will be 30 megabits per second.
What?
Now, for those who don't know,
how is that possible? Isn't 4K like...
Let me break down the math. Before you get into the math, Dan. Okay.
I would like to point out that right when this came out, Microsoft pointed out their report they did that said 162 million people do not have internet that fast in the United States.
Yeah, that's fair. That seems really accurate based on everyone I know.
So what's your download speed got to be to do 1080p?
So 1080p 25 megabits. 4K somehow 30. I can get this thing. Somehow 30. Let me explain. 4K has 4 times the amount of pixels as 1080p, so how you can get that from a 20% increase in bandwidth makes absolutely no fucking sense. So here's what I'm thinking.
It's a server-side thing. You wouldn't understand.
Oh yeah, no, I'm such a goofy dummy about encoding.
You know, Dan. Google has encryption, decompression. This is very advanced. You wouldn't understand. It's by our shit.
It's ray tracing.
So like it's really confusing hearing these numbers. So here's what I think they were doing. I think they were overselling how much you needed for 1080p because they're worried about people with potato quality connections. And 2, they were underselling how much you need for 4K because they wanted it to seem possible to people. That's what I get. Because if you go and look at Google's own recommended bit rates for YouTube, I believe the 4K one Let me see. Of course, it's my most visited pages. All I had to do was begin to write the word YouTube, and it came up. 4K
That's
60.
really sad, Dan.
4K 60. Hey, my optimization has benefited you. Cut it out. Anyway,
Has it?
how are those 1080p 60
Wait, yeah,
videos
it has.
treating you? Yeah, fuck off. Anyway,
Ray tracing. Don't worry about it.
that vapor chamber. 4K
Need a vapor chamber.
their own recommended bitrate on YouTube for 4K, which still isn't that high of a number, it's just serviceable, is 53 to 68 megabits per second.
Yeah,
And that's twice basically the number they gave in that interview for the gaming. So I don't and here's the thing, right? I could actually believe in some magic if they were shipping a box to users, if they had a dedicated device. But the whole thing with Stadia is you can do it on your computer. You can do it on your TV, say if you have a controller that you can buy from them. So there is no dedicated decoding box that's going to take a highly compressed VP9 or H.265 and make it more efficient. I'm not entirely certain where these numbers are coming from them, but even still, these aren't that good of numbers to hear. As Phil was just talking about, Microsoft said shitloads of people don't have this level of connection, and I'm sure tons of those people are Xbox gamers. I'm sure tons of those people are PS4 gamers. And not only is bandwidth,
And even if they do have connections that good, like almost nobody is ever going to be able to devote their entire connection to that in any given time.
right. Somebody watches Netflix and the thing's just going to shit the bed.
two people don't live in a house.
Like,
Are you guys
Two
crazy?
people don't live in a house. That's Phil Harrison.
Children don't play video games.
No.
Two
You know,
people
mom-
won't want
mom
to play
isn't
video
gonna-
games.
Mom isn't going to watch Netflix while the kids are in their room playing,
Children
Assassin's
do not
Creed.
interact.
So the funny
Children are not allowed on the bridge.
You gonna be okay?
Phil does that a little bit too well. I'm convinced he said that to a child at some point.
Yeah, that was before he ate them.
But one of our viewers, Polite Canuck, who is a Canadian who does networking for a living, actually set us up with our recommended stuff for getting GigaBoots HQ running on really good networking hardware. His tweet about this was there are too many variables to go over at this point in time. But he points out even he can get 25 megabits per second doing it an over-the-air point-to-point radio connection, but it'll be completely unplayable because of various things about it. In the case of Stadia, there are routing issues, packet filtering, all sorts of things like that, maybe even VPN tunneling. You're talking huge amounts of input lag, dropped frames, stuff like that. This sort of thing is not a magical solution, and there is a cost to be paid. Digital Foundry did their tests based on Project Stream from their own HQ, and I believe their Project Stream, which was the name of Stadia late last year, I believe its input lag on Assassin's Creed was measured at, 188? And then
Was this the one where they were up Google's ass?
No, that was the one this year. Because they when Stadia was announced, they decided to do a new video talking about Stadia's input lag and stuff like that. But they did their tests at Google's office. They didn't say which Google office or where, so it's a bit questionable, like exactly what's up with that. But the numbers you can't really. Okay, for example.
I mean, that's still the absolute best possible place to be testing this.
Exactly. So, okay, here it is. Google's Stadia running at Google's own offices got 166 milliseconds, but the Project Stream from late last year from the Digital Foundry's office got 179 milliseconds. So I would say in that Project Stream test was done on a 200 megabits per second connection.
Whoa.
Which is pretty beefy. I mean, we have 300 megabits, but a lot of people don't even have 100 gigabits or megabits.
We pay literally the highest end internet in our area.
Yeah,
Like,
we have the best we can get.
A lot of people will not do that.
Right.
That's a lot of extra money.
A lot. And also, like, something to consider real quick, and then I'll totally give the floor to anyone else who wants to talk about this. These input latency numbers from Digital Foundry, you need to consider that you're not supposed to compare it to the console version because the console version of Assassin's Creed makes various sacrifices to get better visual fidelity and other stuff. You need to be comparing it to the PC version because Stadia on Google's side of the internet basically is just a Linux PC. It's running Linux. It has a CPU and a GPU dedicated, separate. They're not APUs. They're not integrated on one chip. So the fucking 60 frames per second version of Assassin's Creed on PC is 79 milliseconds, and it's more than double that. And even if you're talking about the 30 frames per second
do these latency
version,
numbers take into account the fact the controller has to connect through fucking Wi-Fi?
I mean, that's its own thing, but the Google Stadia thing did not even account for that. It accounted for playing on a Pixel book, I think they're called. Yeah, Pixel book. But we can talk about that in a second. But the PC version running at 30 frames per second is still 112 milliseconds. So you're still talking something that is like 10 fuck, man. What is that? 5 frames more? It's multiple frames more of lag. That's absolutely going to be noticeable to people. But hey, it's borderline with the Xbox One X version when you test on Google's premises and you test on the Google Pixel Book screen, which is a built-in monitor. So not only is it a monitor, which is way less latency than a TV, but it is a built-in monitor, which is usually way less latency than that even. And you compare that to an HD 4K OLED, which has 21 milliseconds per second, this specific model they use.
Oh yeah, these are all going to be played on TVs, almost every single one of them.
So, like, there are multiple fucking layers here of why these numbers need a billion asterisks on them.
And it's Assassin's Creed, don't forget that.
Right, and that's another layer. Like, Assassin's Creed, people are used to feeling very laggy because on console, 145 milliseconds on Xbox One X. But on PC,
also
it's
because of the animations and the way the game is made.
Right, the gameplay's mush. So yeah, I just wanted to explain what the fuck this thing was to people. Explain that packet loss is a real thing, so you may get drop frames. It may get messy. And the input latency is going to be bad. There's no reason to believe this is going to be any better than the already existing PlayStation Now stuff. Bob, were you going to say something?
I just remembered the Giant Bomb video where they were watching the stream of this announcement, and they were like, "Yeah, the stream glitches during this make it even funnier."
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Where the streaming future is being live streamed, and they can't get it to work properly.
Right. And that's the thing. Like in a perfect world, in an ideal world, of course, it would be great for the system to work because people don't have to buy new consoles, presumably. But at the same time, what about game ownership? Like people go through economic ups and downs all the time. It's a good thing to have a collection to go back to, for the love of God.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on the subject, so I can like burn through my general thoughts on it. So I've tried PlayStation Now for like 1 month, and I thought it was okay. I kind of like the idea of like a Netflix style library of games to just pop open, and I think that that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine this is going to be niche. It's not going to be a big thing. I see a lot of people saying they just shouldn't exist, and I pretty much disagree because I feel like there is a market for this type of thing, and I feel like it should exist so that it can get better and maybe open the door to maybe trying to get more better internet across more areas. Mm-hmm. So in general, I just feel like it should exist, and though I don't expect it to do very well, but I see a lot of people going like, this is bad at streaming. It's like, I don't know, maybe it can exist, that's my general take, where I'm probably not going to use it much at all, like ever,
right?
But I am interested in seeing this kind of tech grow in the same way it's stuff like VR, for example, like seeing that get better, even if I have no interest in buying one at this moment.
I'm going to go ahead and make the counterpoint real quick and then pass the floor to Feel. The counterpoint here is that it can really scare people away from games. Like, when you introduce networking stuff, when you hear people be like, fuck you, man, I shot him first. Why did I die? This is bullshit, playing an online game.
Yeah.
You've
yeah,
basically-
I could see that being.
Yeah, you've integrated that at a controller level, so now every game is that for every mode.
Yeah, I'm just into some of the stuff that they introduced there, where you can like bring in other people, you can join in, you can share states with other people for stuff, and just in general, I like the idea of giving people more options in how to engage with gaming stuff.
Yeah.
So the existence of this, I think, is a good thing, even though most of the people I know and even myself will probably either try it once or never touch it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a weird position because I'm like, I have a hard time thinking of something positive from a streaming service.
I think this one has the most positivity to it, just about anyways. The funny thing is, like, they're not going to be any luckier than Microsoft at getting their cloud platform to work on iOS, because iOS only works with MFI controllers made for iOS. It's a licensing thing you have to go through.
That controller.
And then you can't even fucking buy shit on iOS that are digital goods. So who the fuck's interested in an online cloud storage gaming platform where you can't buy or play on your iPhone? I'm not saying iPhones are the only phones, but I think a huge part of the appeal here is that, and they don't have any more of an advantage than Microsoft does. But yes, we can talk about the controller.
I'd say I'm neutral positive on Stadia, of just like, I'm neutral in that I may never touch it, but like positive in like, there's probably some people who would find some use out of this. And, there's some slight potential there, I think. That controller is challenging Nintendo for the worst D-pad of all time. It's 2 popsicle sticks making a cross.
The fact it has the Konami code on it just makes me tired.
Yeah. Did you know about that, Bob?
I heard something about that.
The underside of the controller
bottom.
says up, up, down, down, left, right, blah.
Why?
Because it needs street cred.
Wow. No, that's
You're a
They
gamer.
know the
At
difference
that
You're a
between
gamer.
RPGs and
Okay.
NPCs.
they've shown their hand as just being lizard people, and no one should ever buy this.
Dude, the
Well,
ultimate
they-
lizard people move was to get the Doom devs in there.
I feel like that was the ultimate lizard people move, was bringing Matt Pat on fucking stage.
Yeah,
You
no, this was
trust Matt Pat, chill.
That was
Here-
it was insane. Watching the Giant Bomb stream was the best thing ever. Jeff is dying
It's
watching
like, here
Matt
comes-
Pat do YouTuber talk.
Here comes Matrick Patrick.
The Konami code thing is enough for me to maybe just want to outright not touch this thing ever. But
I'm curious.
yeah,
Does anyone else think this name is really bad?
no.
I
it's
get what they were
abysmal.
thinking. A stadium, gather around is like the slogan, but
Well,
yeah, I don't
actually,
think it's necessarily
it's a
good
real
name.
word is the problem.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
original
right.
plural of stadium.
huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, because they got like multiple.
Yeah.
You're
'Cause-
coming together.
yeah,
you brought me from
Stadium,
neutral
Stadia.
positive down to neutral after you reminded me of the Konami code. So if you keep this,
mean, the
this
Konami-
up, we'll hit neutral negative soon.
the Konami code thing is the grossest part of all of this.
Konami should sue him. Just screw it.
I agree. I
mean-
guarantee they have that copyright or
I would
trademark, whatever.
laugh my ass off if they sat on their hands for 30 fucking years just to sue Google. I mean, the funny
My
thing is,
God.
guys, think about it this, okay? The number one game we've been gushing about and loving and talking about, it's one of the greatest games of the generation, came out earlier this month, and what was one of the first things it told you? Set your TV for game mode.
Right. It's the polar opposite
one
of
of-
what could even be done on this thing. It's
Yeah. This new thing that will require. By the way, something that we didn't mention was they're like, we have fighting game developers on board, and we hope to have Evo played on this fucking stupid piece of shit. Which,
Dude,
by the
can
way,
you
is tipping
imagine
my hand
Street
on.
Fighter 5 running on Stadia?
That may have tipped my hand on my impressions of it. I apologize for spoiling it.
Well, you can get into it now. You know, that's fine.
Yeah, here we go.
So KZ has a very positive take on this.
I knew yours was going to be comically negative.
Mine isn't what does this is? I'm trying to find the words here because it's difficult. Remember when Dan said Sony will let people with money fuck you?
Yes. Now, my reasoning on saying you were going to be comically negative, we've established you as the Alex Jones of this podcast.
I don't think a thing where we want to push a new paradigm where you own nothing and we sell all your data to other companies is conspiracy theory, because that's basically what they got on stage and said.
Yeah.
Can I get a robot arm though?
No, you don't get that.
And my opposition to this streaming, I'm not opposed to the concept of streaming as something like, we couldn't have backwards compatibility, so we have it through game streaming. I won't use it, but that's fine.
Right.
But these pushes of it being, it's just like every other thing that's the future. It's the future because it'll make these megacorps $1 billion more and give them infinite control over everything.
Okay,
and
so
I'm opposed to that on principle.
So here's the thing. Here's why everyone's going after a subscription model, okay? For some reason, the hottest crack in Silicon Valley right now and like all over corporate America isn't to make $1 billion in 1 quarter or 1 year or anything. It's to have hundreds of millions of subscribers, because at any moment you can raise your subscription cost by $3 and you just made $300 million more. It's all they care about because it's more
I'm not
stable.
sure this is going to have a subscription model, or it'll have I think there's a couple possible price points for this, and all of them are kind of gross. I think it will have like a pretty hefty subscription fee, and because developers have to get paid for this.
What do you think? What do you think the monthly and yearly split?
It depends on what it's going to be. Is it going to be you have a subscription and you can get any game, and developers get paid based on plays like Spotify?
That's what I was thinking of. Like
that would just be like, all developers die. Great.
Yeah. If it's that, then the subscription would have to be like $50 a month.
So what's going to happen is they're going to compete with Xbox Game Pass. Guess is
it's going to be like a $10 a month subscription, and then you have to buy those games.
No.
Or pay a bunch of money to rent them.
Nope.
Okay, then you could kind of treat that like Xbox Live or something, where it's like that's your monthly thing to access this, and then.
But then you literally can't do anything until you buy something. This thing is absolutely them going for Netflix's throat, so they're going to charge somewhere around $13, $15 a month, and of course cheaper per year. That's what they're doing here, and I don't even know if you're going to be able to buy games.
Well, I mean, it'll. I'm sure there will be fine print of we can take anything we want away from you at any time, and you have no rights.
Yep, absolutely.
The vault.
Yeah, this is the digital future. They're going to be Netflix.
I bet that we'll see where you get to try a game for an hour. Like any game you'll be able to try for an hour.
Yeah, I'm sure that.
And then
I imagine you'll get like X amount of demos per month.
Okay, so Bob, are you talking about what? Because Phil thinks the model is subscription and buying games. What do you think the model is, Bob?
I think that it might be a small subscription like you were talking about and buying games.
Okay.
Or it might just be free demos, and then you can get the subscription. Maybe because I don't know. It's crazy to think. So maybe it's just free demos, and then you buy games.
Yeah, there has to be some amount of money coming in because developers have to get paid.
Yeah, $15 a month.
I think I have an idea of. I think I have an idea what the monetization thing could be for it. Because it sounds gross. Or what they'll do is they'll have tiers. Where you'll have your your basic plan where people like developers opt in, and that's where some of the not as high profile games are and not the newest ones. And then after a certain amount of time, those new ones transition to it. But then there's a super premium one where you can get all your games day one. Costs a lot more.
See, I don't think Google will want a big price tag on anything related to this. So unless it's like you quote buy unquote the game, because that's something people think is normal. But if they're like, here's our super deluxe thing where you get everything and it's like $60 a month, that'll spread as this is $60 a month, and then that'll be bad PR. So we can't have that.
So KZ, your conclusion is what's the split? Like you think it's a sub and a buy, or just a buy, or what? You think it's different tiers of subscriptions?
I think it's a subscription plan, but one costs like $12 to $15, and the other one costs like $30 or something. And the $30 one is where you get everything, including the newest stuff. And then there's the poverty one, where you don't get the newest games, and you have to wait like 6 months for new games to transition to it.
Okay, so
The Hulu model.
So I'm sticking with it's going to be somewhere around $15, $17, maybe cheaper, and you don't buy shit. They're going for Xbox Game Pass's throat. Xbox Game Pass is only $10 a month, $120 a year.
So where are the developers getting money?
The same way people who own the rights to movies and TVs do on Netflix.
But those things almost always made their money first before getting onto Netflix. Google wants this to replace consoles. So the developers have to be setting up something for them to get money if that happens.
I imagine a lot of games that are built on monetization are going to have a really good time here and have an easier transition to this, because then, despite you getting it free, they'll incentivize buying this or getting this piece of DLC or this outfit.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, being an early runner on this platform is going to get you more marketing from Google, who's going to shove your game in the face of every single person watching a stream based on your game.
Yep.
Which means those developers out there who are upset that someone's watching a game playthrough on YouTube, watching a Let's Play, can just click play now, and they'll be getting actual money for that. It works like things come to Netflix without breaking even. Sony dumps movies there all the time. It's a model.
I'm sure Google's ready to take a lot of hits as this rolls out. I mean, YouTube wasn't giving them a profit for a good long while.
Right, and it's just barely breaking even now. But yeah, I don't see how this is any different from Xbox Game Pass. Is it different in your mind because you don't see the latest $60 games from anyone except for Microsoft on Game Pass? Or
that's what it is. That's definitely what it is. I think it might be the basic package, like a combination of everything we've said, where it's like $15 a month gets you these year-old games, and then you can buy access to the newer ones.
But the weird thing is, like, at that point, the whole idea is you click the button under Assassin's Creed while it's playing, the game that just came out, and you buy it, or you get to play it.
Yeah.
So if it's just older stuff, it doesn't have the appeal to that.
Right, and I think
but it'll have the option.
I think from Google's perspective, this isn't an issue for them. That's an issue for developers to get over, because when they go to sell this to developers, they're going to be like, when they go to sell this to developers, one, it's a big ask to begin with. You have to port your game to Linux.
Right.
This is a whole different fucking console. As far like they're sitting there and it's like, oh, it only took the fucking gigabrain space geniuses over at It Take 2 weeks to port to our fucking thing.
That was raw.
You know what'll be? You know what's going to be really, really funny and make everybody despise every company that does this?
What?
When this happens, but none of those Linux ports get released.
Oh, yeah, no, that's absolutely a thing, because there's a world of difference between doing a Linux port for one hardware set and doing it for all of PCs. But yeah, no, like from YouTube, from Google's perspective, their message with Stadia is going to be, anyone anywhere on the internet looking at your game can instantly get you money with this, and they have to keep paying you as long as they play before you made a one-time sale. So they're going to be able to make a lot of easy indie deals, and then they're going to sweeten some fucking publishers' hands with some cold hard cash up front to get certain things. Like Doom was absolutely them oiling up someone's hand. Like they paid fucking money to get Doom on their platform. But I think for the most part, they're just going to try to be making the sale from like, there are a ton of people out there right now watching Let's Plays of your games on YouTube. They could be playing on our platform, which is bullshit because you need a really good connection.
Right.
I mean, how many
a lot of those people probably wouldn't even want to click that button. They want to watch the person play it.
One of the top comments on the Digital Foundry videos, I'm watching this video in 360p. Ha ha ha. Guess I'm never using this.
I mean, that's what we see on stream every day.
Yeah.
People are like, yeah, I'm watching 240p. Pretty great.
Good job. Good thing you put that much effort into 4K, Dan. And I'm like, thanks, buddy.
I'm engaging with this on a different level, I think, than everybody else, where it's like, I see the future Google wants to build, and it repulses me.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, that's
how are you
definitely there.
different?
But I mean, I'm incapable of seeing the present. I can only see the horror behind it.
That's what we're all seeing. I'm just talking about how Google's pitching it to people and why people might be down for it. Because people, for some reason, people aren't grossed out that the entire vertical stack of their iPhone's owned by Apple and that no one can run their own software on it. They're not grossed out that Windows made Windows 10 and Windows 8 to get a cut of program sales on their platform, a 30% cut, just like Apple makes with apps. They just don't give a shit. It's just a thing with people. But yeah, I think this might fail. I think it's probably going to be difficult for Google. I'm sure they're going to throw a lot of money at it and bang their head against a wall. But this may be yet
That's
another...
what Google does for a lot of things, it seems like.
Yeah, but then
You know
like,
what,
so
Dan?
many of them get canceled, like Google Plus or Google Wave or... there's so many Google products that have failed.
You know what?
Huh.
I think we have ourselves an underdog story.
I hate you.
What?
How?
Yeah, KZ, I appreciate
These
the think
billionaire
piece you're writing for. I appreciate the think piece you're writing for Polygon about how Google is an underdog. This the largest company in the world with the most influence, but I'm not sure this podcast is the right place for that pitch.
I was
They're not going to say anything bad about Google Stadia because they're afraid.
Nobody has. If that wasn't a joke, I would absolutely believe some people won't say bad things about Google because they're afraid. I am mildly afraid of saying too many bad things about Google.
Yeah, no, they could probably murder anyone if they wanted to.
And already have. But
I
Google.
was joking with Dan about how if a Japanese game like say Persona 5 or anything from Atlas ever came to Stadia, it would literally just stop you from looking at your own game stream. It'd be like, oh, you entered a block scene, you can't see this.
Oh
I'm sorry.
my god.
yeah,
That'd be funny.
I think getting Eastern developers, getting Asian developers is going to be a huge hassle for them, specifically Japanese. I don't think China gives a fuck. But, well, actually, no, China gives a fuck because it's Google. The whole Baidu thing.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
No, they ain't doing that.
Yeah, no, they're not going to...
Their governor would kill them.
Well, they're not launching this in Japan, the one place where the connection issue wouldn't be a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Because
Isn't
again,
that interesting?
Who cares about Japan?
But yeah, I think the only Japanese developer announced for this was Q Games.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting they were there.
I
I
can't
our
help-
games.
And of course, publishers love game streaming because they no longer have to compete with their old games for your time. They can just, you don't have access to those anymore. You have access to nothing we don't want you to have.
Let me put it this way. This is I feel like this will get the idea across to everyone how gross this is. Now every game is game as a service.
Yeah.
Because if you have to keep paying to keep playing, then why would they make a sequel to a thing that was popular?
I have a segment. Indulge me in this little bit.
He
Okay.
has a bit.
Where it's like, yeah, I just want to, let's see what game streaming gives you, the consumer. You don't have to buy a console.
Yay.
That's
That's
something.
good.
I say $400.
That's a lot of money.
You have to have a good internet connection, which might be more expensive than your current one that does everthing that you
I have a
need.
good one, so that's good.
Well, KZ, you're not count. You have like in the top 1 percentile of internet.
I'm saying this is good, so I can say that's bad when the bad things come. Let this bit run, god damn it.
Those connections are not available in huge swaths of the United States. Your game will run badly at various times for various reasons, and you will never be able to do anything about it.
But hey,
Ever.
Bad.
much like a microwave dinner, it took like only a few seconds before it was ready to be played.
I was on a Hot Pocket kick at one point.
Unlike the consoles in those games, you don't actually own anything, so you didn't actually get any value for your purchases.
That's bad.
Because that's the big thing. Consoles might cost $400, but then you own $400 of technology.
Right. Like
It's like this game makes gaming more accessible, and I go, no, it doesn't. You need an expensive connection that is generally not in a lot of areas, and also trapping lower income people in infinite cycles of paying money while owning nothing is the opposite of that.
Also, there's bandwidth caps. That's a real thing.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do some quick math. 25 megabits per second ain't fucking nothing.
No.
They said, I think the number they gave was 20 gigabytes an hour.
We get 1,000 gigabytes on
Most
our
people I
high-end
know,
plan.
most people I know could not play more than like 5 hours a month.
I used to have a 700 gig a month bandwidth cap, and doing content made it so bad to the point where sometimes my bill on overages made me pay over 200.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a thing.
Thankfully, I guess I somehow bamboozled my ISP to giving me unlimited finally. So I'm only paying like 120.
Sophia, what did they say per hour worked out to?
20 GB, I think.
Okay, well, based on the numbers given, unless I did something really fucking wrong, and I'm not saying that's impossible, I'm saying it's very possible, but you take into account 25 megabits per second, you divide that to 8 to translate into megabytes, then you multiply that by 60 to make it a minute, and 60 again to make it an hour. It's working out on my end to about 11.25 gigs per hour, so I don't know where their numbers
I'm sure they probably
either
higher.
way that number's pretty fucking gross. Our data cap's huge relatively, and it would run out in 100 hours a month, less than. That sounds like a lot, but not really when you consider that this is all of an entire month of someone playing any video games at all.
And that's if you only were playing video games.
Right.
Only if you're playing video
you're
games.
Not watching YouTube.
Not counting.
I mean, we're not
Once again, most internet connections are for multiple people. Very few are for a single person.
Right. And on top of that, like you now can't even watch YouTube while fucking doing this because that would disrupt it.
And here's the element that nobody ever brings up.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get people to carry this shit?
How do you mean?
And Microsoft is going to do a stream box, and I want to know what the discussion with retailers is going to be.
You mean Google's going to do a stream box or?
No, Microsoft is going to do a stream box.
Okay, you're talking about the Expo and SAD.
No, not the Expo SAD.
No, their next thing, Project Scarlet, is supposed to be a stream box and a big box. That's like
so there'll be the Xbox,
which I believe is part of what that proposition will be. They're selling both.
They're just
but I just feel like the returns on those will be so bad.
Yeah,
because it'll be like, why would Walmart carry this shit for you when it's just going to cause angry people coming up asking why the shit they bought for their kid doesn't work?
Yeah. They don't really have an answer for that, but oh boy, are they sure gonna reach for that fucking thing they want because it is so tasty to have yet another monopoly.
And it's gonna fuck them over like it's fucked them over almost every time.
Which is why I'm sitting here and I'm like,
I feel like very few times have all the industry reached for a big pot of gold and everybody brought their arm back.
I mean, the thing with me is that I think this is going to be one of those failed Google projects because, as you were saying, people don't want to pay a subscription and buy a game because the feeling of buying a completely digital game on a service that may not work all the time is really gross feeling. I think they're just going to do the subscription model, and I still think it's going to be really tough to get it done. I really don't. I feel kind of negative on this, but I do think some of the features they came up with to justify this, because believe me, it did not work the other way. They did not have a problem and solve it. They invented a solution, needed to, come up with some ideas of what it solves. They're like, hey, load times.
The best possible thing to come from this, in my opinion, would be if Sony and Microsoft got the fucking massive, enormous sticks out of their ass about sharing saves.
Yeah.
Because they really hate you using them.
Yeah.
Now, sharing them nowadays, and I would...
Trophies and achievements exist, that's why.
Don't break our features that are actually data farming features for developers that we did PR to make you think is for you. Don't break those.
Mamma mia.
But yeah, I don't feel positive about this. I'm still going to check it out. Somebody said that I'm going to turn into a weatherman for input lag when this comes out. And I'm going to be like, Chicago, you need to look out. You've got about 89 milliseconds of input lag heading your way.
I don't have an internet connection as good as KZ and probably not as, and almost definitely not as good as you and Bob.
Yeah.
But I still have one 6 times better than 20, what they say is the minimum, what they say is the requirement. So I'm gonna test this. I'm gonna see if I'm not gonna use like a high frame rate camera. I'm just gonna see, does this feel gross? And if it does, then this whole thing is just trash it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to the button to pixel tests of Stadia versus PlayStation Now versus the Xbox version.
Did you use the wired Pro controller?
No, and
there isn't
never
one.
will.
It connects through Wi-Fi.
Doesn't exist,
Why didn't you solder a connection to it and trick it with a false packet to make it work?
We actually didn't
and then test that.
Packets aren't real feel.
We didn't even talk about the fact we have like we have an enterprise class fucking wireless system. Like
we still have issues.
Even we are just like, there's no fucking way a controller on that is going to be stable enough for me to feel good.
I have to wonder
if
Google's going to try and like, oh yeah, we're going to launch a Stadia app on PlayStation and Xbox.
They're going to try.
No, they're going to do that.
They're going to try. I
maybe
honestly,
maybe not on
Nintendo will probably let Microsoft in with that shit, but I doubt they'll let Google.
I doubt Sony will either, because Sony has their own.
Yeah.
I mean, Xbox has their own too, but
or they will.
Yeah, right.
Now, since this has gone on long, I'm going to touch on this briefly.
Okay.
But I want to reward the listener who listened to all that fucking tech bullshit with something I was taught 15 years ago, and it's been how I have judged new technology ever since then, and it's never been wrong in determining whether or not something will be successful.
Sure.
And it doesn't have a name, so maybe we'll call it Mr. Feels rule, and I'll just steal it and be very arrogant.
Yeah, good.
That's on brand.
So what I was taught was the way you tell if something will be successful with the normal consumer, not tech assholes, because tech assholes are obsessed with disruption. You can never trust a tech journalist to tell you if something is good.
Right.
But people will switch to a new thing under one of two circumstances. Circumstance 1, it is functionally identical to the old thing. It provides the same amount of functionality and value for less money or / effort, because they're really the same thing. So if your new thing does all the same shit as the old thing but costs less or is easier to use. And the second one is if it's significantly better for the same money or effort.
Right.
If it doesn't meet one of those two categories, it's going to fail. That has never been wrong.
And that's why this is going to be launching in a potato quality that they're not willing to talk about, 720p 30. And the games are all available for $15 a month. That's what I'm saying. But we'll see.
I just feel like the average person is going to try this. They'll have like 3 bad spots in one day, and they'll shut it off and cancel that subscription.
I think even the mid-tier of the dude bro will sit there and be as frustrated as they are with like, online games where they're like, I shot first, I hit the button, why didn't it do the thing?
Yeah.
When it boils down to it, that level of frustration can present itself with enough input lag, and I think this is going to stack enough on your average game where it's going to be a problem.
Not just that, but like, what was Apple's slogan for a long time?
Suck my dick?
It just works.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yes, they did a lot of clever marketing shit to make like the iPod and the iPhone status symbols,
right,
and get people obsessed with the brand. But by and large, their shit was successful because you bought it and it worked.
Right. It's really simple.
Easy to use. Game streaming is the antithesis of it just works. And that's why I think it's
it just works
going to be
question
doomed.
Mark.
Yeah, it just works mostly kind of is where
it works question mark.
I think
there's no just.
I think it's crazy that we're still like the new thing is still after 10 years.
10 years
still On Live coming out.
Yeah, On Live and
completely.
Gaikai out here in the streets.
But what is cloud gaming?
I'm glad you asked. Cloud gaming is using this internet on the other side of the internet.
Those ads. I looked that up like a few weeks ago, and it just that's PTSD.
Yeah. The funny thing to me is if this succeeds, it's just another way that Sony has invented a thing 10 years before other people did and not capitalized on it correctly.
I remember when Gaikai was on like screwattack.com.
Yes.
Like there's like a banner thing where it's like play a Mass Effect game on your computer.
Yeah. I played
It can't work worse than the other shit.
That was
played
before
Mirror's
Sony
Edge.
bought it.
I played Mirror's Edge on Gaikai's demo thing. You know what became of Gaikai, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's
yeah,
game
PlayStation now
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah,
know what
Sony
became of
picked it
On
up,
Live,
like-
right?
Mm.
They went bankrupt.
became PlayStation Now. Oh,
Nope, On Live went
that's
bankrupt.
right.
I have friends who used On Live.
Yeah.
I think I played one game on Live. It was Need for Speed, whatever was the most modern one then, and it was really bad.
The funny thing is Gaikai always worked great for me. On Life felt so much worse. So the funny thing is like this Stadia thing is gonna be as good as it possibly could be.
Right.
Because Google has the means. So if Google can't make it work as its own platform, no one can.
Yeah, maybe I'll finally be the nail in. Okay, streaming games is done.
Fucking drop it!
Right.
No, it's not. That isn't what's going to happen. It's not going to die. It's going to die. I've said this on Twitter. It's going to die when some big game launches exclusively on streaming, and then there's fucking queues, and it doesn't fucking work, and it's just unplayable for like a week, and that game gets fucking reamed. That will be what kills it, and not a moment before then.
I think it may...
It's never going to be over, Dan. It's like the classic Daughtry song. It's not over.
The prize, the potential prize for winning is too great for them to ignore unless somebody has died.
Isn't that the saddest shit? Can we just fucking talk about that? Like, the greatest prize in the world is to get some subscribers, you sad fucks. Go make something of value! Fuck!
Make a giraffe.
The greatest prize is having
only God can make
control
giraffes,
over
KZ.
every aspect of everything.
I don't know about that.
And getting $1 billion trillion a month and having nowhere else they can go and just being able to fuck them forever.
It's just the saddest fucking shit because it's like you have to invent some fucked up way for your internet company to get into the pockets of gamers. You aren't offering a box. Like if they came out and they were like, hey, here's our normal fucking console.
Right.
It's 10 teraflops. You can run it locally or you can play in the cloud. That actually would be offering a bit more to people, you know, because people with bad internet connections could do that. And in a sense, the only reason they wouldn't do that is one of the few opportunities this brings up is that you can design a game with network code that knows that the entire server and all of its player base are on the same backbone. Not in the same server center, because that's not the case, but it's on the same backbone, you know? It has a direct connection to the backbone of the internet. That's the only thing. That's not adding value. That's not enriching gaming. Like, you can be as cynical about fucking Microsoft and Nintendo and Sony all you fucking want, but at the end of the day, each of them has done something to gaming that has benefited it. And I do not believe Stadia is insanely helpful in the same way that those have been, you know?
What if you're just afraid of the future?
I'm not afraid of the future. I'm one of the people best able to take advantage of this specific technology, but I think it's going to take the same games I can play on local hardware and make it worse and make it unreliable and make it shitty.
KZ, a nuclear blighted wasteland is also technically the future.
I mean, yeah, but in the end, no one's going to be able to use this because it's going to take a whole 599 megabits per second.
I know, because a meme. Now, here's my hot take based on this
a lot
meme.
of smart people made unironic tweets about it and retweeted it.
Yeah, that this week has been rough on me, you guys. I cannot believe the number of people.
Incredibly intelligent people.
I cannot believe the number of people who fucking posted posted their hot takes based on a fucking dumb meme by Daniel Ahmad, to the point where Daniel Ahmad goes, man, I am too powerful.
Also, people just assume Phil Harrison
when you hate
is dumb.
something that you don't have to research.
Yep. But yeah.
Also, DMC 5 sold 2 million copies so far. That's good.
Yeah, that's
that
good.
came out at the GDC panel this evening.
Yeah. GDC is actually the number one con I want to go to, but it costs $1 so I'm never going to go.
And that's a big number.
Yeah, $1 huge. Hey, KZ.
Yeah.
What you got coming up this next week?
You fucking saved my life. How can I ever repay you, Daniel? So coming up this week, this coming Friday, which should be the day this comes out, I challenge you to get this out on time, Dan.
Right,
Good
there's no
fucking
way.
luck, buddy.
This is like 3-hour podcast.
What are you talking about? He said this is coming out on Friday during minute 20. There's no
Well, with
problem.
his new workflow, he shouldn't die.
It's 3 hours. Whatever. What's
So?
coming
It
out?
feels like I don't think this will take very long.
What's coming out, KZ?
Coming up is The Bouncer will have finished as of this Friday, the day this might have come out, with its 6th and final episode. That's pretty bad.
I've been really enjoying your Let's Play.
Yeah, we're reaching the final stretch of Devil May Cry 5. I think we're on like mission 15 or 16 of that. So that's going to finish up over the next couple of days. Sekiro's coming out, and I'm considering doing something video related with it. So I'll just hit a button, play it, and if this seems like a bad idea after like 2 hours, I will just play it on my own. But aside from that, that should be about it. By the end of the next week, I'll be starting up Tales of Vesperia, a Tales game I've never played, aside from like an hour of it. So I'll finally be picking that up and see what
Exciting.
the hype's about. I'll be playing it on the dub to see if my baby brain can recognize the fact that there are 2 voice actors for 1 character.
Actually, I think there's another character where the voice actor changes.
I will be very excited to find some of that out. But that is it for me.
So,
I have
KZ,
an
let me
important
give you
point-
advice.
Oh.
Let me give you important advice for Vesperia. When you get to the dog boss,
Yeah.
try it like twice, and then pop one of those free plus 10 levels things they give you.
Okay. Because I've had this thing sitting since before Kingdom Hearts 3 because I just pre-ordered it and then never touched it. So looking forward to checking that out. But I'm very interested in what Feel has coming up this week.
Well, we got some podcasts that are going to be coming out consistently. That's the only thing I'm a part of. I don't know why we have to do this bit every week.
We have to do this bit every week until you get motivated to do something, young man.
He is doing something.
I do a lot of things. My job is very difficult.
Yeah,
I'm not careful-
your job of ruining my life the past hour is quite difficult, yes.
If I'm not careful, I'll saw my arm off and have to get a Trek arm like in Sekiro.
You know, if you don't watch out, if you're not careful enough, KZ may saw your arm off.
He does that sometimes.
I'll have to ask KZ to build me a new arm. It'll be like a devil breaker, but it's just like an egg beater on a stump.
It doesn't
You
sound that
will
useful.
appreciate its worth.
He'll make you a devil breaker that's making the OK sign, and he calls it El Power Blanco.
I am visualizing the thing they showed in the E3 reveal trailer for Sekiro, where it's just Feel battling against Dan, which instead of it being a dude on a horse, it's just Dan on a DX racer. Just attacking him. This is getting really exciting.
I am pretty interested in Sekiro. Bob, what do we have coming up in the next week?
Those
Bayonetta
podcasts.
video?
Let me explain. I'm going to be making this podcast, just this one, for the next week. That is all that will be coming out on my channel, because it's going to take a whole week to edit this fucking enormous podcast.
Yeah, okay.
I like that when it's like a 2-hour podcast, you're like, maybe I can get it out on Friday. It's 2 hours, 50 minutes. I'm going to be working all week.
Look, man, there's a certain time frame where I can do work on this, and I think even with my new workflow, this may not get out on Friday, but we'll find out together. And that offer is legit if anyone local wants to buy our TV.
Yes.
Just let us
Feel
know.
this is your shot, dude.
He's not local, but sure.
No.
Dude, if I had the money, I would do it.
I don't really have the money. I can't just spend $1,000 on no
I have
notice.
I have been participating in the 4K OLED bit for 4 months. If I had disposable income, I would buy that, and I'd want at least Bob's autograph.
Bare minimum.
Bob and Tosh.
Also, Dan isn't allowed to know where I live. Have you seen some of the things I do to him? I made that man watch 2 Channel Awesome movies. By the end of the year, the number will probably be around 5.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled. But we are going to, this Friday that this is allegedly coming out, we're going to be doing a Mega Maker Live.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, we are.
Exciting.
And there may be some other content coming from us in the next week as things
Make
have
sure to do that level quickly or else the game will crash.
I'll do my best. We may have some other stuff coming out, but I'm not I'm not certain. But it should be possible. So just keep an eye on the channel. Maybe we'll be giving the Quiet Man a chance, as I hear people want us to do that.
I fucking hate this Bouncer Quiet Man combo pack.
I do too, because one of these is a good game.
Half my chat thinks you like the Quiet Man.
That's disgusting, and I will sue them for libel. Unless next week I find out I like the Quiet Man, in which case I'll go, hey, they called it.
No fucking way you like the Quiet Man.
I don't think there's a single fucking way I'm going to like the Quiet Man. That game sounds fucking awful.
You're going to fucking say it's better than Mario Sunshine. I'm going to have a stroke.
Actually, Mario Sunshine is much better than Super Mario Odyssey. It's on the same level as Sonic Forces.
I don't know why I did Kylo Ren for that.
Okay, we're going. We're
Kylo Shark coming in.
Oh, get out of here with these tapes. Thanks for listening to this episode of Big Think Dimension. This show, like our other podcasts, is only possible with the generous time our co-hosts have given to us and the equipment we've bought to make it higher quality and easier to produce. Please consider supporting our podcast series on our GigaBoots podcast Patreon and look forward to more gamer premonitions and Big Think Dimension in the future. Okay, Bob.
What's up?
We're doing it.
What am I supposed to say at the beginning of this? Like the
You're supposed to say that this is the GigaBoots executive producers. So you're supposed to thank them.
This month's GigaBoots executive producers for February 2019 are Vincent Poverk, Nicholas Cameron, E. Lee Broyles, Brendan O'Sullivan, Star Falcon,
Even if you say it right now, it's that one.
Spaceman Spiff, Prince Van Space, Danny Richardson, Dryzart, Wardonis, Shadow in the Darkness, and Shadow in the Darkness. Thanks to our executive producers, and also these guys. Oh man, where'd they go? They're so quick. You think they'll be back?
No. Tell them they can go to patreon.com/gigaboots today.
Go to gigaboots.com and become a patron. Yeah, you can go to GigaBoots. You can go to patreon.com and become a patron of GigaBoots.
We're letting you do that. You're welcome.
It was great. It would be great. Thank you for doing it. I'm sure you've already done it.